another episode of XenoChat. I'm one of the co-hosts, Tyler, along with my co-host, Justin.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode.
Alright, we have a special episode today, but first, we have returning guests, Mary.
Hi.
And Tara.
Good to be back, guys. Hey.
And we have a special episode today because we are having a chat with Ruby and Joe, otherwise known as Purpleschala and AnimeVivi. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
Thanks for coming on. This
Yes.
is going to be a pretty good one.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been...
Thanks for having us.
I've been really...
I'm excited.
really
Our
excited.
pleasure.
I've been really excited about this episode for a while.
Yes.
So, okay, before we get into that, though, we'll just kind of gloss over some of our latest Mollisoft news. So the only thing, well, unless you guys have any other news, there was an article by Siliconera about the Xenoblade Mollisoft has grown to 243 employees, which go Mollisoft.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, the article kind of goes over their success over the years, so it's kind of cool to see how much they've grown.
Yeah, it is. But also, I think I saw recently that I don't know if it was Nintendo or Europe or something, that they had something starting to set up for Xenoblade HD. Or at least the remaster, but yeah.
On the website.
I'm not sure if they're gonna say any news soon, but I have a feeling it might happen soon.
Yes. So as of this recording, the new Animal Crossing game had just come out. And if you go onto Nintendo's website and you click on Coming Soon, there's actually pictures of Shulk now.
Yeah,
which is pretty
there
cool.
Exciting.
So that happened, and I believe they updated the entry for Xenoblade Definitive Edition on the eShop. So people are starting to wonder if that's going to be the next new Nintendo release, at least the next big one.
Mm-hmm.
So we still don't know when we're going to get another Nintendo Direct, but yeah, it looks like they are starting to shift over to that. I'm not saying that that's going to confirm anything, but it's just getting people thinking as to when Nintendo's going to make another announcement and when we're going to get a release date. And I think some retailers started to list some dates for it, but you can never really go by that. That's not really official confirmation or anything like that. So
plus, if you're a collector like me, you want to wait for them to announce a collector edition to go jump on
Oh,
it.
heck yeah.
I'm so hoping that they put a soundtrack in there. That would be nice.
that sounds
Oh my gosh, that's all we want.
Yeah.
That's all we've wanted
Fingers.
for years. Please, a stateside
I'm
release
always up for
of
more
Xenoblade.
hard books because hard books are life.
Ooh, yes.
They always
yes.
include art books. Every single Xenoblade game has received an art book if you bought it at launch here,
Yes.
which is really neat. I wonder if they'll do another print of Monado Archives, because I think the only language that was ever localized in was French, because they had this weird limited Club Nintendo reward over there,
Interesting.
where I think it was if you were among the first 100 or so to redeem Xenoblade, they would send you a translated version of that art book.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's so weird. But I also hope they're gonna re-release the Xenoblade X art book, because it's impossible to find now on good pricing. I'm just
Oh
sniffles.
no.
Oh, no.
No.
But yeah, maybe eventually they'll do a reprint like they did for Monado Archive, because
Yeah.
it happened more than once. So there's still hope.
Crossing
Exactly,
fingers.
and I mean, right now they're doing reprints for the Pyra and Mithra figures. Those are still up for pre-order, and I think the Cosmos is still up for pre-order as well.
Yeah, and I'm not backing up that order, regardless of the world going on crisis.
Same.
I want my waifu.
That's a gorgeous figure, though. Oh, my God.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, oh my goodness, I know the detail on that. Yeah, she looks really beautiful.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Both she and Pyra, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the Mithra and the Pyra figure also.
Pyra
look
and Mitra was
insane.
I love them, but maybe not enough to pay that. But Cosmos, okay, you can have my whole wallet.
Yeah,
Take all of my money, Cosmos.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what happened with me too. I remember when Pyra and Mithra were first announced, thinking, "Man, that looks pretty cool," but I won't get it at launch, and I didn't. And then they sold out, and then I think Mithra was going for like 600 plus online, and Pyra was also going for like 400.
I think I would be weak
plus.
for. I would be weak for Pneuma as well.
Numa would be.
Numa!
I'd pay whatever
Numa!
price they put Numa at.
Oh, her design is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yes.
so good.
It's really, really good. Numa, I would also love a Poppy Cutie Pie, but that's probably not going to happen.
He's so cute.
Oh, Poppy. Yeah, Poppy is so cute. The lolly robot.
Yes.
But yeah, the new ones are up for pre-order. I pre-ordered both of them because I am weak and didn't want to miss out again. So when they come out, that's going to be a very expensive month for me.
Godspeed.
Yeah. So for me, even more because I'm Canadian and my money like is worth shit. Even more. So I'm just like, yeah, that's gonna hurt. But it's okay. It's okay. But yeah.
Let's see.
So I don't think there's any other news aside from that.
The only other thing
don't
I can
think so.
the only other thing I can think of, it's not really news, but with Animal Crossing being out, I've seen some people make some Xeno related clothes and stuff, and I'm like,
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I know! Like, a friend of mine made a Monado shirt. I was like, oh, so cute.
so adorable.
Yeah, I want to learn how to make them because there are a couple that I absolutely want to make for myself.
Yeah, it seems like I haven't played myself because I wasn't sure, but I wanted to wait for now. But like, it seems like they can make the costume through sort of pixel art thing. I'm not quite sure. Like, I saw like an image and it looked like it was like you could pretty much put pixel art and make your own shirt from that. But I'm not quite sure how it works.
Yeah.
That's how it works. But I
Yeah.
just have to figure out exactly how. I keep staring at it like, oh, I'll figure it out one night when I'm free.
Yeah,
for a while.
it looks it looks very complicated. Like my 10-year-old is playing it, and she's just I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't. This looks really like how to design your own shirts and stuff. I'm like, this. I would lose my patience with this in 2 minutes.
I probably would too.
I'd be like, can I apply my Minecraft skills to that?
Yeah, yes. Oh my goodness, totally.
All right. Well, that was a nice diversion, but I guess we can get into the meat of the episode. So yeah, we're talking with Ruby and Joe today, and as we do with most or all of our new guests, let's if you guys want to kind of go into how you got into the Xeno series.
Xeno series.
Story
Xeno
time.
series.
Okay, you want to go first, Joe?
Okay, I'll try to give the short answer because I could probably talk about this for half an hour. But
To be
We
fair,
love it.
when I came in the first time, I think I spoke for 40 minutes.
we were
Nice.
commenting like, oh my god, they might want to cut us off at some point.
Nah, we can make it a multi-parter episode if it comes to it.
Exactly, just talk.
Yeah, just
Now
like
I
the
want to
love
hear the whole
episodes.
story.
Well, it's not really like the whole story, but basically, I got into the Xeno series when I was in middle school. So like I had just finished Final Fantasy X and Kingdom Hearts, and those were my first kind of JRPGs. And I was looking for other JRPGs, so I picked up Xenosaga Episode 1. So I started with Xenosaga and played through all of those, went back to Xenogears, and then went on to all the Xenoblade games. So I got really, really into the Saga community. So like I built my own fan site and made like animated music videos, and it was a little intense. We did like live journal live journal RPs. So
Oh,
yeah,
you too?
Yeah, I did.
I was on Live Journal RP for Xenosaga.
Ooh, which ones were you in?
I was in, oh my god, what was I in? I was in Camp Fuck You Die and Transmigration 9 with Junior.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah, I've definitely seen those RP live journal RPs. I wasn't part of those. I was part of the We All Float one that was on live journal, and then like some other random ones. Like I did Damned for a little bit.
Oh my god, that's a game I haven't heard about in a while.
Yeah, I don't know what happened after to that at this point, but it was pretty fun. But it was also like a huge time sink, and
It really is.
yeah. So yeah, I met a lot of really cool people, and worked on writing. Like got to develop my writing skills, so that was a plus for these kind of RPs, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We just used to write essays and stuff about our characters all day, every day.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is so cool, though. I mean, that's so great. Because it's like when around the time I got into the Xeno series, this was like before the internet was a thing, and like we didn't get the chance to engage with other fans all over the world, like So when you're hearing you talk about how you did like RP groups and you were able to make sites and just connect with each other, it's just like wow, that would have been amazing back in the day.
I would say
I knew like maybe
day.
2 other. I
would say more.
I just dated myself, but it's like literally back when, it was like word of mouth. Oh, have you played Xenogears? Oh my gosh, it's so good. And it's like 2 or 3 people, or like the guy at like electronics boutique that was like, hey, have you heard of this game? It was like, that was literally our community. We didn't have,
Wait, so you're telling me that people actually spoke about video games without the internet? That actually happened?
But yeah, I'd say I'm more connected now than I was back in the day, because I wasn't connected too much to the communities. I would follow some of them to a certain point, but I was more like a bit shut in playing video games. But yeah, go ahead, continue, Joe.
Oh yeah, go Joe.
Well, that was kind of the gist of it, in that I spent a lot of time doing all that stuff, and then around 2013 is when I started like recording music and started like putting like Xeno music in front of people I knew and people I didn't know, and I was like, go play this. So,
That sounds familiar.
Most of the time people didn't know what they were playing. I was just like, I really like this song. Like, you play piano. Can you please help me with that?
Nice. That's awesome.
I mean, that's kind of pretty much the way we can spread that fandom, is through other passion. Like for me, like now I'm just getting more into some cosplay of Xeno, and I'm just like trying to kind of spread the word at the same time. So I can get that feeling too. Like,
Oh yeah.
you want people to play this music because it's never played.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it absolutely. I mean, the Xeno series always felt so under the radar until Xenoblade 2. But like before then, it's like not many people knew, or like they kind of knew, but they'd heard of it, but they never got around to playing it. And
So it was up to us
In my
to
experience, there's a
stream.
lot of people who played it but fell off. They like a lot of people I
Right.
knew played the first saga and even have it, but they kind of just fell off afterwards.
yeah.
That's too bad, because
Yeah.
I loved episode 3 so much.
Oh my god, same.
Oh, God. Yes.
I love the whole series.
I know, it was like my whole childhood, basically.
Same.
Was it 3 or was it episode 2 that I can't remember, like someone commented on some post I made that was like he was like it was either 2 or 3, or that the way he was talking about it was like it had done him a great personal wrong. Like he was like, I hate this game so much. You will understand when you play it. And I can't remember if it was 2 or 3. Like because I haven't
My guess would
like
be
I haven't
2.
actually
That sounds like.
Oh, 2. Okay, and that
Sounds
sounds
like
familiar.
It sounds like 2.
I'd say that's
Okay.
most likely
Yeah,
so.
going into 2 without utilizing the battle system ends in raging at the
Okay.
game, which I did my very first
really?
playthrough.
We're-
Yes,
Yeah, we're episode 2 apologists around here, so.
I do love episode 2. Now I can play it easily now that I know how it works. But that first time when I was young, oh god, I hated it.
Yeah.
I was like, I hate this
Yeah.
boss. I can't win anything.
Oh, that's
I think my
that's so interesting.
my obsession with the URTVs was stronger than whatever difficulty that game was.
Oh yeah, you power through it because you're like, I need to know what happens next.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've only played like I tried Xenosaga like 1 back in the day when it was first released, and I hated it, and then I didn't get past like maybe the first, I don't know, like on the ship,
The
and
Woodland
like
Day.
maybe the first like 10-15 minutes I was like, oh, I hate this. But then I picked it up again like recently after talking with Joe, whose love for Xenosaga is just eternal and pure. So I was like, okay, I'll give this another chance. He like lent me his copy copies of 2 and 3. I procured one like somewhere, and then I bought like a used PS2 Slim just so I could like play Xenosaga. And I was like, I need to give this a good shake. I need to really give this a fair shake. And I really enjoyed Xenosaga 1. I'm at the Song of Nephilim and getting my ass kicked. But I really enjoy. I'm like, it's actually a very like the dialogue's charming. The characters are really very cute, and I was like, this is actually really good. Why did I hate this so much? I was like, this is so good.
Yeah, but to be
I did. I was that Xenogears fan. So toxic. Like, I was.
But to be fair, like both like Saga 1 and 2, like they will have like their own gameplay problems in some aspects, so they can also like, it depends, but they can also be a bit on the rough side for some people too. So sometimes it's just like you kind of need to give them a second chance and really see that their strong point is often the story. But also, what I would say though, the gameplay is still pretty solid. But like a lot of people will say like, oh, there's no music in the
yes, that was so odd.
Yeah, that was odd.
That really struck me as odd, because like I was playing it and my husband came by and he's like, "What kind of game is this?" And he's like, "There's no music at all. It's just footsteps. You're just echoing in the corridor." And I'm like, "I know, it's actually kind of a shame that all the music, and it's like really beautiful music, is like during the cutscenes, and you know, I'm just like, why did they do that?" Like, although like Xenogears was kind of like that too.
Yeah,
like, there were
I think they were going
for very silent. Yeah.
I think they were going for something similar, like,
right?
But at the same time, it was a bit maybe too silent. Like, because had a bit more sounds to it.
Yeah, it was. I think it was because like I want to say that the dungeons in Xenosaga felt like longer, like very long. Like, but then I'm thinking about Xenogears, and I'm like, Xenogears had some really long dungeons too. So I'm not sure what it was that like Xenosaga just feels so quiet. And Xenogears didn't feel that way. I don't know.
I also think it's because of the sound effects too. Because like I remember in Saga, there's like areas in that game where you don't even hear any atmospheric sounds. Whereas Gears actually did have a few silent areas, but there was still like, there was all sorts of sounds in the atmosphere, and like the environment was making noises.
Birds
so like
chirping.
it still kind of worked.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, that's true. Like, and like, when I'm thinking about Saga, like it's either footsteps, or you'll hear like smoke or something on fire, and it's like kind of constant. But yeah, that's true.
Like had like intense reverb on them, so it like really amplified like how empty it felt.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an interesting point. Yeah. That's true.
But yeah, actually, like right now we kind of went into the gameplay of stuff, but were we in your story yet?
What's that?
It's just I'm wondering if we started your story or if we branched out from another topic. I'm a bit confused now.
Oh, like how I got into this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. All right. Sorry. I guess I kind of touched on it, but yeah, as Joe like alluded to before, I will live and die for Xenogears forever. Like it was 1998, and I was in grad school, and by the time like it was a PS1 era, and so the like JRPGs were in its heyday, and so I was just playing every JRPG I could get my hands on, in for the PS1, and especially Squaresoft, because I was just a huge Final Fantasy fan. So I was like everything Squaresoft, everything. So like, and Xenogears was one of them, and it hooked me from the beginning, because that anime cutscene with the Eldritch at the beginning, it was just really awesome looking and very gripping, because you're like, oh my goodness, what's happening? And it's like, you shall be as gods, and the plane, like, or I mean the ship is just like getting taken over, and then it just cuts to like Faye painting in like this rustic village, and you're just like, how did it make this leap? Like that really intrigued me. Like, 'cause I was like, okay, I need to play this to find out how point A went from point B so suddenly, because it was just like two different worlds completely. It's like this intergalactic battle, and like suddenly you're like, oh, okay, I'm in the sticks. Like, just this, so yeah. And then just I was just in love with the gameplay, because I just loved how you could play in your gear, But you could also play like, out of your gear, like, and you had a totally different set of moves and totally different mechanics for both, which was just really cool, and it played like really well. And then like the music was just, I mean, it's Mitsuda, It's like, how could you not love Mitsuda? Like, even though it's like, oh yeah, I mean, it's just, all you have to do is just say it was, Mitsuda wrote the music. You're like, oh yeah, okay,
like, give me this.
So
That's all you need to hear.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was what. So all that hooked me, and even like disc 2 couldn't ruin it for me. I was like, I need to play this through to the end. I was just so like bowled over by everything, and then just when I got to the end, I was just so emotional. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of Faye and Ellie and everybody. Like, honestly, they've come so far, and so I was just really like, wow, like completely just blown away by the story, even though it's like super pretentious and they were like throwing every religious reference they could find, and it was just like, it was Neon Genesis Evangelion, like there was so much in there that was like ripping off of other things, but it was just it worked. It was so great. Like I was like, wow, I never expected it to go down this rabbit hole, and suddenly went down another rabbit hole, and you don't know how far this rabbit hole goes. And so yeah, that was like, it was like really just amazing. It was an amazing experience to go down that far. I think like JRPG plots were already starting to go that way. Like with Final Fantasy VII, it was, Final Fantasy always pushed the envelope for that kind of thing, but like, the SNES Final Fantasies were, pretty typical. Like you could see where the end was going to be. You could see who the villain was going to be. And in 7, it was starting to break that mold a bit. Like where you couldn't really see what was happening, where they were taking that story. But then I think then when I played Xenogears, that just kind of blew that out of the water. It jumped the shark and then some. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is amazing. So yeah, that's what got me hooked into the Xeno series.
Nice.
But then I tried playing Saga, and then I like despised it, as Joe said. It's because I wasn't Xenogears, and I was like that toxic Xenogears fan. I was like, nothing can be better than Xenogears. I will not accept anything. Like it was ridiculous.
Now you're reformed.
But I do hope though, now that you replay it, I do hope that you will be able to get through the end and like be maybe just as mind blown about the story.
Yeah, I want
the
to.
story of Saga
just
is
as
quite
emotional as all
intense.
of us constantly are about it.
Which I love. I love that. That's literally like what every Xeno fan of any Xeno game is like. It's like, you get like super emotional because they're so they just do such a great job of creating
it's
these,
such like a
really
grand story
powerful
with
moments.
amazing characters.
Yeah, and like just really relatable characters, and they just have this great sense of scale, this epic scale that you start out your character starts out so simple and with a very small world view, and then at the end it's like you're killing God again. And it just suddenly that formula just never gets old. It's just like it's like I'm just so proud of them.
Yeah, but I find that they write their characters so well, like no matter which series. Like I feel like Xenogears Xenosaga had a more complex writing, like compared to the new ones. But regardless, like I feel like people will like different Xenogames for different reasons. Mostly because they connect differently on different levels with each one of them. But yeah. Like for me, for example, like I connected hardcore with Xenosaga, but I still love all of the other games. And Xenoblade 2 is actually my second favorite, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can totally see, like, why people love Xenosaga. Like, I was really charmed by, like, I mean, just the crew on I forgot the name of the little ship that you're on. They're so, when they talk to they're so cute when they talk to each other. And then just Cosmos herself, even though she's an android, she's got a really good dynamic with Xion, and it's just like it's really just, and Xion herself is such a great character. She has so much that she's gone through so much, and you don't know.
Like, you're still maybe, I don't know where you are in the story, but, like, Shion, her character development is so intense.
It's so
I was just about to say.
Yeah, you know, you can like throughout the game, you can really tell there's more to her. Than,
Yeah.
like, there's so much under the surface, and like I'm at the Song of Nephilim, like, just because like I hate, like, I got killed just like, you know, because when you have to shoot all those boxes to get to certain levels,
Yeah.
and then I was like, oh, I'm so powerful, I'm fine. I ran into some enemy who just wiped the floor.
Yeah, I remember there
Oh.
was
She's like,
some pretty
I was like,
tough
why is everyone so
Song of
overwhelmed?
Nephilim
Yes.
I think I know
Oh my
where. Is it
gosh.
those gnosis that keeps like
with the
pretty
saw
much
blades
disabling
or
your
something.
abilities?
Yes. It's like, and it's just a really annoying. It's a really annoying having to just kind of shoot those boxes to get to certain levels, and you have to shoot like 6, and then they'll get you to a certain level 3. I don't know, but then you just, and then there is only, it's that one gnosis that's like in the hallway, when it's a circular hallway, and then it's like you can't avoid him. He's like, or you try to run and like, because it's so narrow you can't run past him.
Yeah.
So I was like, how do I do this? So yeah, that's when I rage quit, and I was like, I'll come back to this, but you know.
Yeah, I understand. I stayed blocked in the Song of Nephilim for a while, to be honest.
Okay, I'm glad it's not just me. I was like, maybe I just
No,
need
that
to
place
find
is tough.
somewhere.
That place is tough. No, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just need to hit you. I'll need to hit you guys up like later for strategies.
Totally.
Because I also have like a
Oh,
bunch
yeah.
of like, I have a bunch of TP saved up for Shion because she doesn't have her AOE attack yet, and I'm like, I know it's coming. I've got like 1,000 something.
Yeah, I literally
haven't
saved
spent
those
it on
for
anything.
Cosmos for Song of Nephilim.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Maybe I should. Okay. Maybe I ought to start like just.
Yeah, I think I
grinding
do that like
somewhere
every
else.
playthrough. I'm like, let me save up Cosmos' points, so when I get to Song of Nephilim, I can get her X-Buster and kill everything.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's what I need to do. Okay. All right. Xbox.
Yeah.
Okay.
OP in that
Yeah.
game.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm gonna go back and try to, because I do want to finish it, because you know, like, so yeah.
Yeah, Saga's really a game that you kind of have to just be in it for the long run. Because, like, I know Saga 1 can be kind of a flawed game, and so can Saga 2. But it's funny, like, I was revisiting all the cutscenes from Saga recently, and Saga 1 honestly keeps it pretty basic in comparison to the later games, which is what, like, most people I talk to who love Saga, they're always talking about the cutscenes from the later games more than the first one. The first one has a lot of setup, yeah, but, like, where this series really shines is how you see those characters evolve from where they started. And that's, you really get a sense of that starting from Saga 2, funny enough. Everybody likes to hate on that game, myself included, but that's actually where a lot of the more interesting things from the story start to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So my question is, like, okay, is this supposed to be a sequel or a prequel to Xenogears, or just a reimagining of Xenogears?
That's a complicated question.
That's a very
I would say,
Because I'm like trying to, as I'm playing, I'm trying to see how it fits in the framework of Xenogears, and I'm like, it seems like a parallel, like, universe, or it's like almost like a different kind of
Honestly,
retelling of.
honestly, I think it's like any other Xeno games, except like they had done this like kind of right after Xenogears. So I feel like they were inspired by it. They took a lot of element and cameos from it, but
Okay.
like
Mhm.
it's
It's-
its own thing
it's separate.
regardless.
Yeah,
Like,
It's very much its own game.
It's a spiritual successor.
but I will
like-
say
Okay.
you're gonna have a lot of candy when you get to Xenosaga 3.
Oh my goodness, you're gonna... Okay,
Oh.
Xenosaga 3 pissed me off. So, and I spoke about this on the
Xenosaga
podcast before, because like you, I was also a big Gears fan. I had played that first, and then I was playing Xenosaga, because what got me into that series was that I think I read like a rumor somewhere that Saga was supposed to be a remake of Gears. So that's kind of why,
okay.
that was one of the reasons why I was interested in Saga and I was playing it. And then I had seen a video of Saga 3, and I saw Jin's outfit in that game, and it looked just like Citan, and I lost it. I was like, oh my god, you get to play a Citan in this game? And then I found that no, that wasn't the case. That was just Jin. And Saga 3 has a lot of moments like that, where there's a character who looks just like somebody from Gears, and you'll just think to yourself that had they remade Gears back in like 2005, 2006, it would have looked like Saga 3. And that made me hate Saga 3. I'm like, man, if only this was a Xenogears remake. This would have been so cool. But
I probably will have a similar
you
reaction
will.
when I get
and
there.
I know
would probably
specific
be very
moments
pissed.
where you were going to
Oh
scream.
yeah.
Actually, there's a first cookie in the ending of Saga 1 If that can give you
yeah.
a small motivation to finish
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Oh no,
about.
I do want to finish it. I'm just like I'm just like need to just hunker down and just grind, like just get everyone's levels like higher.
You can
then
do
I can
it.
just go just get through the Song of
Also,
Desolation.
if you have Early Kaiser and you don't feel like having trouble with the bosses, you can just smack them with Early Kaiser and they die instantly almost.
Mhm.
Ah man, I don't have that though.
Yeah,
Like I need to look
I
up how to
think
get that.
you have to wait a while before. Well, I don't know if you.
Can't you, like, not
all
get
the
Early
keys
Kaiser
are
till
in
the
the doors, the red doors, I think.
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
parts.
they
Oh,
are.
man, I've been so lazy about that.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, do I have to open this? Do I have to? Like... okay, I'll go back and just and go through all that and build the big robot thing.
I could tell you
Like-
the exact ones if you don't want to do them all, just so that you get Early Kaiser and smack everything
Oh.
at the end.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, I could-
I mean, it's like, if this was like 10 years ago, I probably would have been like, okay, I'm going to take my time through this. But it's like, my backlog of games is so overwhelming that I'm like, okay, let me just get through
right?
this.
Oh,
pretty
Yeah,
I
I feel
understand.
that. I feel
I
that.
feel that too.
without using, yeah.
Big mood.
So,
All right.
I understand this
yeah.
feeling.
yeah, but I'd rather finish it than like not finish it. I really would like to finish the Saga one.
You can do it!
Yes, I am like now I'm really motivated after talking to you guys. I'm like, okay,
Yes.
now I'm like really curious. I'm really curious on Xenosaga 3, and now I'm like, I can't just skip Xenosaga 2. And just
We will
play
support
Xenosaga
you.
3.
Whenever you want to play
I probably
Xenosaga,
will
if you need a cheer squad, just come to the game room, tell us in advance, we'll all be there.
Yeah.
Okay, I will. I'll be like, help, guys. I need motivation for so I got
Yes.
wasted at Song of Nephilim again.
We will be your cheerleaders.
I need encouragement.
All right. So shall we move?
So,
Oh,
why don't you continue with your story, or is there more to your Xeno history?
We didn't go too much into Xenoblade, I think.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh, Xenoblade. Okay. I guess I can talk about. Okay, so now you know my Xenosaga history or lack of. But with Xenoblade, it was actually kind of similar because Xenoblade 1, this is when I was like, I didn't have a Wii or anything, and because I had just had my first kid, and so I was like, wasn't playing that many games, so it was like, oh, I heard like Xenoblade Chronicles, and then I heard somewhere that it was in the same series as Xenogears, Xenosaga. I'm like, oh, maybe this is worth picking up and trying out, and so I picked it up and I bought a Wii for it, and I played it, and I was like, I wasn't used to the open world yet, so it was just really disorienting for me. So I got really angry, and then I couldn't get the battle system was so weird to me because you attack like automatically when you get close to an enemy, but I didn't know that for the longest time, and so I was like, how do I manage all these buttons and scrolling through which text to use, and I have no idea, and I kept getting killed, and like because I didn't know, like it was just really disorienting because it was my first like quote unquote open world game.
Yeah.
So I rage quit around Satoral Marsh because of those like level 99 birds like like at night. I was like, oh no, running away. And then I think I put it away for like 3 years. And then it wasn't until after or maybe longer, because it was like, it wasn't after I played Final Fantasy 15 where I was like, okay, I'm broken in when it comes to the open world, and I was like, and I thought about Xenoblade again. I was like, maybe I should just pull that out again. And then it was just much easier to play then, because by that time I was like used to like 3D and whatever, and then so it wasn't so just being in that environment, like the immersive 3D thing wasn't so overwhelming for me, and I could just kind of focus on getting acquainted with the battle system. And then I actually really appreciated the detail in the worlds. They like, when you're in Gar Plains, it's like, wow, like you as far as I can see, you can see these formations, and especially when you're in like Mechonis Field, like, when you're like advancing towards the Mechonis, like you can just see, like, you look below you, and it's like there's all this, you can see like parts of the Bionis. I mean, it's just really like, it was really just amazing. Like so that's when I was like, I really started to really appreciate Xenoblade a lot. Like, and then I got really into them. And then, but I always loved the music, no matter what, because I think, Joe, this is around the time I met Joe, who was really into Xenoblade, and he was like,
Nice.
like, can you play on my arrangement of Satoral Marsh? And I'm like, oh, this is really beautiful. And then he like played a couple, and then he played me Agniratha. and I was like, oh, this is really beautiful. Like, like I need to. I was like, I haven't played the game, but I immediately started like arranging it, like transcribing it. I was like, this is gorgeous. This is a gorgeous theme, and you know, but yeah, so yeah, I was always really into the music, and I heard Beyond the Sky, and then that's like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a really beautiful theme, and Joe was like, this is the ending theme, because I think this is around the time you were making your big Xenoblade mega medley with like.
Yeah.
Like all the theme, like it was like 33 people like across YouTube, and it's a really
Wow.
great
Oh, nice.
medley.
That's
It's a really epic medley. It's great, and so I played on a couple of those tracks, and I was really intrigued by like because the music was really great. So yeah, so that's what kind of kept me sort of in the loop for Xenoblade. Like I didn't dismiss it entirely. So yeah, but I'm glad. So then I actually finally beat it maybe like 2 years ago, or maybe last year. It was maybe last year, and I think I was rage quitting around like when you're in the Bionis, like the interior, and I think I kept those, and I needed like more level. I don't remember what it was. Those squirrels kept killing me. Like, I don't remember what it was. But Jennifer had to get me through it. Like Rinkara on Twitter, she was like, "Come on, just finish it. Just please finish it.
you were
You
so
will
close."
understand." And I know that's she's like, "Just please finish the game, please." She's like, "Just," and then when I finished the game, it was like Zanza took me like 3.5 hours. It was 1 a.m. I was sweaty, and just like, and I was like, it's like finally beat him, and then like the ending was like so great. It was worth. I was like crying, like, just, like, Beyond the Sky played, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of them. Like, it was like that Xenogears experience. I'm like, oh my gosh, this game in many ways I actually like better than Xenogears. Like in some ways, it's just like, well, and objectively speaking, I think it is a much better game than Xenogears. Not that it's Xenogears' fault; they ran out of budget.
Yeah.
You know, but just like overall, it was
But
just had that same.
To be honest,
Xenogears
I think
vibe.
Xenoblade 1 is probably the one that had the most balance as far as like
Oh,
both
yeah.
story
Oh, yeah.
and like everything. Like it was really a really
Yeah.
balanced game.
Mhm.
That's one of its big strengths.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like all around, like the characters are great, the story's great, the music's great, and just the battle system. Once you get used to it, it's good. It's intuitive actually, and like the environments are just so beautiful.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, okay. I have blathered on about Xenoblade enough. Okay, Joe, it's your turn.
So am I supposed to talk about Xenoblade? I guess like I was like a part, or I signed there was like a petition, like, Operation Rainfall. Like I was I took part in that, and ended up purchasing the first Xenoblade like from GameStop, and I was just like, really, they were not gonna release this game? That seems insane at this point. But
Yeah. it
Oh, I know,
was-
right?
said-
I mean, Shulk being in Super Smash Brothers. I mean,
yeah, so
yeah.
so I'm grateful that like that happened, and that ended up being released. And the funny thing was I was actually more excited about the last story at the time, because I was like, oh, that has like a lot of the Final Fantasy
wow.
people. But then like now
Yeah,
I'm
that's
completely
right.
reversed. I'm like, Xenoblade forever.
That was the same thing with me. I actually didn't care about Xenoblade for a very long time. I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. Last Story looks awesome. I really want that. But ironically enough, I wouldn't get Last Story till way later.
I think I was excited for both kind of equally, because Last Story had like the whole writer of Final Fantasy, which I really love
Yeah,
his writing.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then there was
Sakamichi.
like Xenoblade was like monolith. I was just like must like support both, but I actually bought all 3 games like at release because I really wanted
Wow.
to support all of them. So yeah,
Oh, good for you.
but yeah, continue.
I don't know if there's much to continue with. Other than enjoyed it a lot. But I guess with the Blade games in particular, like I think what I've noticed is that I can't really play them multiple times, because like the way I play the game,
Oh,
is, like
that's-
I'll basically try to 100% them during my like first playthrough. So
Oh,
then like by the
geez.
time,
Oh my gosh.
by the time like I'm done with the game, and I did this with Fire Emblem Three Houses too. So
Oh, I know. I was about to mention Fire Emblem
Yeah,
Three Houses,
yeah, so-
because you were talking to me like, I want to max out everybody, like even the people that you don't use on the bench. I'm like, Joe, don't even do it. Come
Yeah.
on. Stick with your A team and just get those guys up and don't bother with anyone else.
Yeah.
I would probably be that person trying to raise everyone. Actually, I have the game. I still have not started it because I
Same.
was stuck playing Dragon Quest for the longest time.
Same. Double same.
That's valid. Okay.
I'm still in
Totally
Dragon
valid.
Quest. I still have not finished it. Well, I quote unquote finished it, but I'm in the post game, which is more story. So I quote unquote finished it, but not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like Octopath Traveler. It's like you finished it, but you haven't really finished it.
Exactly.
Same, yeah.
It's like, there's so much post game.
Yeah, I can understand why you wouldn't want to go back to the Xenoblade games, Joe, because that would take forever to max out. Like,
Yeah, because like I would cross compare like my hour count against other people who just like play it normally,
Yeah.
and it'll be like 3 or 4 times like their hour count.
Oh my god.
Also,
No,
like,
I mean,
think-
Joe, I mean, I know people that logged in 800 hours in a Xenoblade 2. There's so much to do.
Yeah.
There's the side quests
Like-
and stuff. There's so much to do.
I
Also,
know,
I think in,
I know
like, Blade
over
1
300, but
Hey, that's totally fine. Like, there's so much to do in the
Yeah.
game.
I think in Blade 1, it's actually impossible to 100% it in one playthrough because, like, if I remember correctly, there's, like, quests that you can't do in one playthrough.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, like is it that like when you're rebuilding Colony like 9 or whatever? Is
It's like-
are those quests or no?
If I remember correctly, I believe there were some quests that were, like, branching off of decisions you made, too. I think there was, like, one or two
okay,
of
okay,
those
got it.
where, like, depending on which one you picked, you would get a different quest, so, like, you actually couldn't do every single quest in one playthrough.
Oh, okay, all right, got it.
Yeah, but now that there's a definitive edition coming out, maybe I'll actually play it again because like I bought the 3DS release because I was like, yes, Xenoblade, and I can play it on my 3DS, and then like I started it and
gosh.
just never played it. But like,
It's so hard to play on the 3DS. That game on the 3DS is like that tiny little screen.
I did the same thing. I bought
Murder.
I bought a 3DS just for that game, and then I played maybe like a few hours, and I stopped.
Oh, it's brutal to play
Yeah.
on the 3DS.
yeah, I
though.
did.
It's
I did the same, but but also technically in my case it wasn't too bad to upgrade to a new 3DS because I had the very first one, so it wasn't too bad of an upgrade. But yeah, I did more or less the same. Like I played a tiny bit on the 3DS, and then I branched out to some other things.
It's a lot. It's a very long game. It's a lot. It's a big. It's an emotional roller coaster, and when you know what's gonna happen, it's kind of like, oh boy. Okay.
Do I want
And I'll be
to feel this
completely
again?
honest.
Gotta go through this again.
I'll be completely honest, even to this day, I have not finished it. I ended up watching the cutscenes while I was doing the Xenoblade Chronicle 2. Because the problem with me is that I'm like, I don't have much time, and then I tell myself, okay, I gotta continue the story, but then all these side quests are put in my face, and like, it's stronger than me. I must go to
yeah.
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the completionist.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so many side like the number of side quests in Xenoblade is just astounding.
But
Like but I like how you don't have to go back to. Or I think was it Xenoblade 2? You don't have to go back to. The
yeah,
original
but that's the thing.
person?
Xenoblade
Like-
Chronicle 2, I feel like it was more balanced with the side quests because often
Yeah.
I would have like a batch within like a chapter of the story, and then there would be no more. So I was like, oh, okay, I can move on now. But
Yeah.
Xenoblade 1, it was
Okay.
just like, okay,
Yeah,
I
it
turned
just
in
kept going.
10 quests, I received 20. I'm just like, oh man, I'll never finish
I mean
this.
but that's kind of I kind of like that though. It's almost like your quests are ongoing. You can finish them, so they don't disappear. Like if you're a completionist, I can see how you'd be like, okay, I can come back. Like if I miss this, like there's a point, that point in the game before you defeat the final boss, you can go back and just do everything.
Yeah, I just
and,
always
you
always
know,
have
then-
this kind of like mentality of like, if I miss it now, it might disappear forever.
I know. Well, some games are totally like that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I watch all the cutscenes at least, so I didn't miss anything too much. But
Yeah.
I will go back to it at some point. It's just right now I'm like, I have too many games.
Yeah.
Too many
oh my
games.
gosh. Don't we all?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, I guess we should probably move to the main show now.
Yeah.
Q&A.
Well, since
Yes.
both of you have done some great work on like making different albums of music, which a lot of them
So great. Oh my god.
are on Spotify.
Oh,
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so
I
much.
listen to your guys'
Thank
Xenosaga album like almost every day, and
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that just I'm like clutching.
I
my-
had it on earlier. I was like,
Oh
we're
my-
doing the podcast
oh.
tonight. I better go brush up.
Yeah, like whenever the version of Pain you guys did comes on, I kind of try to sing along to it like it's karaoke, and it's. I'm glad in my
Oh
I'm
my
glad
gosh.
I'm in my car
Let-
alone
let me-
when I do that.
No, let me tell you, I've done many, like, the same thing for Small of Two Pieces, just, I'm in my car, by myself, I will belt that out, like, just, you know.
So-
So, I feel, yeah, but that really means a lot, thank
No
you.
problem.
Like, I have to say, like, even though Xenosaga is, like, you know, like I said, like, Joe is the Xenosaga fan, like, and even though I like Xenosaga, I love a lot of Xenosaga's music, like Yuki Kaijura,
Oh,
and,
yes.
you know, Mitsuda, they did so much great.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot, and then you know, so I let Joe take the lead when it came to that album, like as to what, you know, like I from Xenosaga 1, I had a couple of the songs that I knew I wanted to do because like especially some of the piano ones like Warmth and you know, Shion's theme, and then, like, the battle theme. I was like, you know, we're doing this, I don't care, we're
It
doing
turned
this.
out great.
Because I was just like, that was... Oh, thanks
You
so
did.
much. I was like, I was obsessed, like, but because that was it was a theme I heard so often as I was replaying it. I was like, it just kind of wormed its way into my brain, and I was like, we gotta do this, and
It's so good.
I banged out a really short piano version on Twitter, and then I sent it to Joe, like, we're doing this, like, someday we're doing this. So,
Yeah, and I really-
so when this album actually, like, yeah,
I really
Go ahead.
liked the battle
Sorry.
theme from one in particular, in that like it, for at least personally to me, it never got old. Like when I played Ni no
Yeah.
Kuni, that battle theme like eventually I initially really liked it, but then when it kept happening over and over again, I would get tired of it, and I was like, okay, I don't want to hear the song anymore. But with the episode 1 battle theme, like I could listen to it over and over again all day, every day. And
Same.
Yeah, no, that was so true. I think it was. Did it play during boss battles as well? Because
Yeah.
it did.
I think it was. Yeah, and I was like, okay, cool, great. It wasn't like, oh darn, I didn't get another boss battle, unique boss theme or whatever. But I was like, oh man, this one again, great. This is such a jam. So I was really, I was always really happy to hear it. It was awesome. Like no matter how many times I died, I was like, oh, I get to hear this theme again.
Yeah, but
great.
it's so hype, and it's hard not to get it on the hype train every time that song starts. You're just like, yes,
Yeah. Yes, it's so good. It's so, like, and I've thought about what makes it like so good, and I want to say, like, just from a musical perspective, it's just because the changing meter, like, and there's some distinct sections that just sounds, the intro part is really different, and then that part in the middle is like another is, and then it just changes time signatures again. It's like in 7/8 for that one first part, then it goes into 9/8, and for that other part that goes into, you know, so it's always shifting. It's like, you know, very interesting to listen to.
yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's not like, you know, because of all those like little musical changes. So at least for me,
Yeah.
but you know, but
Yeah, but I do like a lot of songs that sometimes will do that. Like they'll shift like kind of speed or like mood or whatever within the music.
Yeah.
It's always interesting to hear music like that. But that one on top of that is super hype. So just like like I never get tired of listening to it.
yeah, and and just like it's so classic Mitsuda, like because you can hear some of the element, his compositional like style come through. Like that one when that 9/8 part hits and it's so pretty. There's like a really pretty section in that battle theme where you know,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, you know, it goes from this like really sort of hype like battle stuff to like this really pretty like part. So, you know, the mood change, and that's very Mitsuda. Like he always tries to put in something really pretty, like no matter what it is. So yeah, that's you know, that was always really got me. I think the first time I heard it, and then I was like, you know, let me get like that shift between the two. So it's just like, it's a great
It really
theme. I
is.
was like, yeah, Joe, we gotta do it. We're doing it. So yeah, so the Xenosaga album ended up being like, it was like all slow themes and battle.
It's kind of a theme of like every album that we do. Like we'll have like one randomly out of place song.
It's usually because like Joe really likes the slow soft themes, and I'm weak for battle themes. I'm
Fair.
like, we have to we must do it. We must do You Will Know Our Names. We must do like it's like one.
And we for
Yeah,
battle
sorry.
teams too, and like hype.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's just so exciting. It just gets, it doesn't fit. That's why when we were deciding the order of the Xenosaga album, I was like, Joe was like, where do we put this? I was like, just get it out of the way at the beginning, and the rest is gonna be like, we'll definitely end with pain, like, because that's like the ending theme. But like just get the battle out of the way.
But I
at the
think
beginning.
within the softer one, my favorite one is Sweet Song. 'cause
Oh,
so-
I love
Oh.
so much.
Yeah, that was Joe really insisted on that one and on having that's
Well, you
the
gotta
ending
play
for
episode
Xeno 2,
2.
right?
Yeah.
Saga 2, yes. Okay. Yeah, it was really pretty. I'm like, that was all Joe. I think Joe you picked all the ones from 2 and 3 because you're like, we absolutely need to have this one. We can't like, and that's why I was like, okay, I'll totally believe you on this. You're the saga guru here. He's like, we need this and we need this and we need this. And he's like, we need Mother Miss You and we need Nephilim. And Nephilim is really beautiful.
Yeah, it
I
is.
actually really enjoyed. I really like Nephilim a lot. And then what was the Hepatica?
Hepatica is
Oh,
amazing, but
that
at the
is
same
a
time,
gorgeous
Z-
theme. I love it so
Yeah,
much.
that was. Yeah, that was. That's from Xenosaga
Yeah.
3,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
it triggers
okay, 'cause,
a
like,
bit too much emotion. So often I'm like, it's starting. I want to listen to it, but I'm gonna get sad.
so it's like I haven't played Xenosaga 3, but I was telling Joe it's a real like without the context at all. But when I was like transcribing it, and I was like, we're gonna do it exactly the way it is on the thing, and and I was telling Joe like, it's interesting how it sounds like it's very this chorale like sort of vibe to it. It sounds like a hymn, and it almost in some ways like with the Latin lyrics and everything. It's like it sounds like an Ave Maria. It actually sounds like a it's like Hail Mary, like it's like it's almost like it's got a very 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 sort of very
Yeah.
very religious, very like a very somber, very sacred sort of vibe to it. And then and I'm like, I was like, I wonder what. And I asked Joe the context of it. I was like, when does this play and where does this go? And he told me it was like it played during a battle, and I'm like, are you? I was like, and this is like really. I was like, that's really interesting.
Well, after
to me.
hearing
so
that,
so
I
that's
can't
like,
wait until you get to that part of the game now. After hearing that,
Yeah,
yeah,
I've been
I was
waiting
like,
to-
like, oh my god, the way you just described that is
Okay,
like,
here I
I
am.
need to see your reaction now.
okay, all right. I'm like, let me tell you, that's intrigued me like ever since like that kept me like in for like because when I was like arranging Hepatica, I was like, gosh, this is so like and then like when Joe told me kind of like without spoiling anything, and I was like, oh, interesting. And so I've been curious about it like low key ever since, like just like like, all right, I need to kind of know why this is where it plays, like why it sounds the way it does, and whose theme this actually is, and like so yeah. So yes, I can't wait to go to play it and to play Xenosaga 3 whenever I get out of Song of Nephilim and Xenosaga 1.
We're gonna cheer you
really
on.
interesting to like hear these songs out of context and then compose
Yeah.
them, and then go
Yeah.
back and experience them the way you were supposed to in game.
Oh yeah, no, the same. Like, I had a similar experience with Agniratha because I had heard that like without any context. And I was like, this is so gorgeous. And I was like picturing like this beautiful verdant forest, like village theme, like elves or whatever. I don't know. Like just like it was so peaceful and nice and beautiful. And then it's like it plays during like then when I reached like like that like Agniratha in the game, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like it takes on a totally different vibe. It's like everyone's dead. It's this abandoned city. You got to facing these really awful tough like enemies like, and everything is just so it was just such a it was so different from what I expected it to like the context was so different from like because it was this really beautiful theme, but it took on this more somber tragic sort of vibe like when you're in the Mechonis capital and fighting like basically the ghosts or like just the leftover Mechons and they're all so difficult and everything is so drab and ugly and like so yeah, and rusted. So it was just so different from from what I expected.
Nice.
Well, in that case, well, it's something I've been wondering, and I'm sorry if I'm not going in order of our questions, but like, cause you've done the sheet music, like how do you go about how difficult has it been for you to like adapt these tracks from the various Xeno games into sheet music?
Okay, like you mean to arrange or okay, just to adapt to our instruments. Oh, okay. Joe, I felt like I rambled a lot about Agniratha. Joe, do you want to? Do you want to?
Yeah, it kind of varies, and like, and I think Ruby has her own process, and like I kind of do my own thing. But at least for me personally, like a lot of times I'll kind of just listen to the track and like start to dissect the different lines and transcribe those down, and then start to kind of see, okay, what are the most important things, like what are the things that the piano can cover, what are the things that a melodic instrument like the viola can cover. And the piano in particular is really tricky for me to arrange. I think Ruby is a lot better at it for obvious reasons, but like because the piano has to be both, it has to be the bass line, it has to be your rhythmic like percussion instrument, and it has to be melodic and accompaniment, and it's basically a little bit of everything. So I'm not great at arranging for piano yet, but a lot of times like I'll kind of do like a skeleton, and then Ruby will kind of will retool it,
rewrite the whole thing.
Basically, it's like here are the chords, go crazy.
No, but seriously, like if you don't play piano, arranging for piano is actually very hard. I can really sympathize with that, because if you're especially like if you're an instrumentalist and you only play like one note at a time, or at most maybe two or three, if you're a wind player or a singer, of course, obviously you can't do that, then you don't hear things in terms of chords. Mm-hmm. And like you hear, like, it's hard to, if you play piano, then you're used to hearing many notes at once, and you can pick out kind of like what certain patterns are. Mm-hmm. But if you're not used to that, then I can really sympathize with, it's like trying to transcribe something or arrange for piano.
Yeah,
but
I guess I can understand if someone's used to play just one stroke of notes, like it's kind of hard to do a double of that for the piano with different melody. Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's kind of
in many cases I end up just rewriting the entire part, which is totally fine. because I understand how it's very hard to, for someone that doesn't, if you don't really play piano, then it's hard to figure all that stuff out. But when I arrange, like I said, the piano is it's easier for me to write it out. What takes the longest is transcribing all the notes and getting all the lines in, because especially if you're a stickler like me and you hear so many cool harmonies in the original and you want to get them all in, and you're like, I'm just gonna get these all in somehow, even though I would need like 10 hands to try to like, get it, like, but it's like, I'm going to get it in. And so, like usually first I'll have the instrumentation out. Like if it's just me and Joe, it'll be just piano and viola. And then like Joe said, just trying to see what parts would go best with, in each instrument. Usually for melody, obviously, the melody line would go to viola or whatever instrument. And then like piano I would just take care of everything else. And so, it's like, okay, you just take melody, I'll take care of everything else. Unless there's like, but if there's like certain parts where like it would sound great on viola or in the strings, then I'll probably make an exception there. But that's and it's usually, if it's like a pretty fairly easy song to adapt to a classical instrument setting, like On the Fallen Arm from Mechonis, from Xenoblade 1, then that adapts really well to just viola and piano, because it's mostly cello that plays that melody, and it's a kind of or some synth that plays that, that's fairly easy to do. But if it's something like the theme for Mechonis Field, like, which is a very EDM sort of track that's very heavy on the drums and the bass and the synth, and not something that the acoustic instruments would attempt to do. But I was like, I love this so much, I must do it. It was like midnight, and I was like, I don't care, I'm gonna try to write it all out. And so I think I was live tweeting it. I was like, it's gonna sound like ass, but I don't care, I love it. And then, but like, but surprisingly, like when it was like, I think it was like 1:45 when I got like it down to like the first iteration, and I was like, this might actually work. I was like, it might actually work, because this, like, I grew up like, trying to pick out like Depeche Mode and like, songs on the piano, along with a lot of other British new wave, very synth heavy, like, bands on the piano. And like I knew the power of like a good synth riff. Like if you had like the one in Mechonis Field, can really carry the brunt of a song. Like that in itself is like the core of a song. And then just from playing a lot of like jazz funk riffs on the piano, like from like Stevie Wonder or Bill Evans' Chick Corea, like the power of the backbeat in order to create a rhythmic drive that strong enough that you wouldn't actually need drums. And that was what I relied on a lot for when I arranged Mechonis Field. I'm like, we won't need drums. It's like, there's like, we have that riff that goes, that's constant in the piano. And then like Joe takes care of the melody. And then if I can just nail that, the bass line is so syncopated. If I can just like, that's all we'll need, and we can make it work. We can make it work. and so it's like, and it kind of did. I don't know if it did, but I loved it just because I think it was more this fangirl moment, like, oh my gosh, Mechonis Field, we're actually playing.
Yeah, it definitely meant a lot to me that we did that, because before I even played Xenoblade 1, that was the first song that I heard from the soundtrack, like out of context. And I was,
oh my gosh,
Nice.
I didn't know that.
And so that was like the first song that I was just like, okay, I need this on like my iPod at the time. And,
oh, I didn't know that!
so it's cool that we got to go back and do it. So.
I never knew that.
Kinda,
that's actually really cool.
That is cool. I guess that kind of goes into another question. Is like, when you guys like choose songs that you're gonna do on your albums, like, do you mostly do it because of your favorite tracks, or something that you want to do like technically, or how do you go about doing that?
So for me, it's the emotional impact the song, because I mean the Xeno games are just overflowing with the feels. I mean, there's so many very powerful, poignant moments in the game scenes that are punctuated by such beautiful music that's just so fitting for the moment. That I mean, hearing these themes recalls those scenes and recalls certain characters, and and just like the track "While I Think" from Xenoblade 1. I always think of Melia and Kallian, like that one scene where it plays, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I need to do this. It's and I love it because I love While I Think because of that one scene, like because it had played during certain other moments in the games, but that one scene between Melia and Kallian at the very end of the game, where not to spoil anything, but you know what I'm talking about. I was super emo. While I Think was playing, I'm like, so then I'm like, I love this track. We must do it. Okay, Joe, we're doing it. So for me, it's definitely 100% just like the emotion, I love it for the same reason, most people just love certain themes from games is because of what it evokes, what feelings it evokes from playing the games, the context.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar. Mostly just the songs that mean a lot to me. So like a similar example to Ruby was that I'm really, really fond of Once We Part Ways from Xenoblade Chronicles because of the scene with Charlotte and all that. And I was just like when I saw that, I was just crying that scene. And so I inserted that into that Xenoblade medley that Ruby had mentioned earlier. And while we were kind of doing the different arrangements, someone suggested to me, because originally I was going to do the whole song in that medley, and someone had suggested to me well, it doesn't move very much, and maybe we should cut it so it's not so long. And I was like, no, we're doing the whole thing.
No.
I can't cut it down.
Never.
We actually did end up cutting it down a little bit, just because it was already a 25-30 minute medley.
Wow.
I mean, that was the same case when we did that concert 2 years ago, and we did a Xenoblade. We're like, okay, we're gonna perform Xenoblade because we may be the only people performing Xenoblade in North America, and so we need to do this, and we were like, let's do a medley, and the medley ended up being 45 minutes.
That's amazing.
That's basically the entire concert. But Joe's like, we gotta cut it down if we want to fit in Somnus and Bravely Default. And I'm like, no. So it took some hard negotiation. We got it down to maybe 20 minutes, which was still a very substantial amount of time. But yeah, we feel strong. When you feel strongly about certain tracks, it's like, no, we're not cutting it.
Yeah, for sure.
So to kind of piggyback off of that, I'm kind of curious, when it comes to composing a medley, how do you control the emotions that you're going to evoke from each songs based on their transitions?
Oh, that's such a great question. And that's honestly the most challenging part of writing medleys is the transition. Because as you say, it's could be you can really get musical whiplash if you don't do it well. But then when you think about it, when you're playing video games, you're used to that abrupt shift anyway. Because you could be you're in Satoral Marsh and suddenly, like I said, level 99 bird, and then You Will Know Our Name starts playing, and oh man, so you're I think in a sense we're kind of used, people are kind of used to that and come to expect that from in the whole in the gaming experience. So I guess. So when we were writing we were trying to figure out the Xenoblade medley when for our concert, it was I don't think we thought too much about a smooth transition. I don't know. Maybe my memory's feeling. What do you remember, Joe? Because I'm maybe I'm remembering this wrong. Maybe it was really.
I think initially we tried to smooth out the transitions, but then we're just it'll be fine. We'll just play them through.
I think I'm trying to, because so the main theme ends very definitively on on a like, you know, very definitive end. Like there's an actual ending note to it, so that wasn't hard to transition. And then when we went from Gar Plains, I think I may have just I may have just written endings for everything, and everything ended definitively. Nothing just kind of melded.
I think that's
like
right.
it's not like when we did our Kingdom Hearts medley, like, you know, but then again, Kingdom Hearts, it's easy to transition Dearly Beloved into Simple and Clean. It's like really easy to transition like stuff in Kingdom Hearts. It's just the way Yoko Shimamura writes is like she's got a very similar, like, you know, everything flows really well. Like, but you know, because Xenoblade had so many different composers in it, so many different styles that I think, I don't think I think you're right. I think we did try, and then we were like, this is not gonna work. We're just like, we're just gonna just end it, and then start the next thing.
I think that's one of my favorite things about the Xenoblade 1 soundtrack is that there's so many different composers, and you can hear the different styles, but like it still felt like a very cohesive soundtrack. It didn't feel like very fragmented and like there's this composer and this composer, but like it all worked together somehow. And I think that's a credit to like how they all work together. And
it just, although I will admit the very first time I played Xenoblade, like it did throw me for a loop, just like because you're hearing the main theme, like you hear that Shiyoko Shimamura, like that wonderful, her lush piano strings writing is so great, and you hear that when that opening menu screen plays, but then you hear like the folksy, like, you know, did Manami Kyoto write for Xenoblade Chronicles 1? Or
she
just
did, yes.
2? Kyoto, she's got this kind of folksy, sparse sort of style, very pretty, sort of lilting melodies, and you know, so I was like, oh, you know, and then like Ace comes in and like these hard hitting like metal, like, you know, like battle tracks, and so that kind of threw me for a loop, just a tad, like, you know, when I first played it, but then again, like a lot of things threw me for a loop when I first played one, so it probably was part of the whole thing, but yeah, it, like, you know, but. For as a whole, like the OST is, I love the eclecticism of it. It's just, you know, it really adds to the whole, like the game, like I love how when you're moving from the Bionis to the Mechonis, like it feels very acoustic in the Bionis, but as you move on to the Mechonis, it starts feeling more like electronic, techno sort of, and that's just like a really cool shift. And you know, and then like when the battle theme, when the battle themes play, like it's so hype. Like it's like, you know, it really, and then like especially like combined with the voiceover, it's like, you know, it's like, you know, you're like, wow, you're really feeling, you are really feeling. Like, it's just, you know, it just really adds to like the whole experience of as you're going through every section of it.
Well, out of curiosity, what are your opinions on Xenoblade X's soundtrack?
Okay, I can't answer that because I never played Xenoblade X. It's still shrink wrapped. Joe, I know. I'm getting to it. I did buy it.
You're fine.
Joe, that's all you.
Yeah. So I did play Xenoblade X, and I think it was just very different from the other Xeno soundtracks. I still did appreciate, like, there is still a lot of tracks that I like. Like, I'm really fond of Sonaso Fern. So we did an Sonaso Fern rendition, which I think we called XBT3. One of the things that kind of throws me for a loop when listening to that soundtrack was that, like, a lot of the track titles are scrambled, so it becomes a very difficult to navigate soundtrack if you're just listening to it outside of the game. But I think there were a lot of really cool themes there. It was just very different from what I was used to in a Xeno entry.
Yeah, I think when I played it, like, I already had heard the composer because I was like just coming out of my phase of Attack on Titan, so we're just like, oh, it's the same composer.
Sawano is so
and
good.
Like, the music was so good. It was just like, yes. Even if like the lyrics could get a bit ridiculous sometimes, I still love it.
or like the fact that every time you fly in your what were the mechs called or something?
Oh, the Skells.
In the Skells, yeah. Every time you fly, like the flying theme story starts.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. In that case, were there any like songs that you composed that or for Xenogears, Xenosaga, Xenoblade, or otherwise that were kind of something that was like took you out of your comfort zone or was kind of like difficult to work on?
Let's see. I don't really like know the meaning of comfort zone, honestly, when it comes, because I will try, no, just in the sense of like I will try everything and anything, to even stuff that's not meant for piano. I like will like, if I love it enough, I'll be like, okay, it doesn't matter, battle themes, like, whatever, this is meant for electric guitar, it doesn't matter, I'm doing it. And so yeah, I think but although like in live performance, though, like two things came, or maybe three songs came to mind, like was just in terms of ensemble, like putting stuff together, like when I think I've probably felt most out of my element when we did Gar Plains, because that was really hard to adapt for acoustically, because you wouldn't, because it's so groovy, it relies so much on drums, and my whole thing with like, we've got the backbeat, it doesn't matter, but like there's the way it is, because it's more like Latin beats, like there's a very strong emphasis on the one, and then there's a very and a lot of strong emphasis on the congas that play during it, that it was very like, I could only do so much with just the bass line, and then just maybe that right hand ostinato. And so it was like, there were times when it didn't feel as locked in as it could have been, like, just that one, I think, really probably like, if we had a conga player, then I probably would have been like, okay, let's just get the drums in here. Like, get it, like, hold it down. And then like when we were performing it, like, because those three, like, those three Joe knows what I'm about to say. There's one part when, before it goes into the bridge, when you hear these three knocks on either a guitar, or like it's three slaps on a guitar, or it hits three hits on some kind of drum, and bass drum. Sorry, it's the bass drum. I was like trying to. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Okay, yeah, the bass drum, and then it's like dum bum bum. It's like da 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 da. So just before that part, so we were like, well, we should stomp. we should all stomp. That would be fun. Like, we should just, after we do this, like, before we go to the bridge, we'll all stomp those three like beats, and then, play our thing. And so we were used to rehearsing it in my house, and so we would all stomp on a hardwood floor, and that would be fine. But then when we did it on stage, where it's all very resonant, and we were on the stage, it's kind of hollow, and I was wearing high heels, and like we all stomped, and it like scared the audience out of it. It was like boo, 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 and like everyone like jumped. Like I saw a recording guy just like, I was like, oh my gosh, maybe that's a little much. We had to just go on like da 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 da. And so like when I watched the video and I listened back to it, it's like it's like three sonic booms like out of nowhere. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was a time. And then like when like we played you will know our names like later in that medley, that like nearly derailed, like, because like
really
even
tough.
like my like. That one's really tough because it's very syncopated, like rhythmically, and then it's like got like, because it's very guitar heavy, because it's all electric guitar, so a lot of fourths and fifths. And then like my violinist, who is like awesome, she's amazing and as world class as it gets, but she's used to like, it's not classical like patterns, classical harmonies, not classical rhythms. So it was difficult for her to like, she played it, but it was difficult for her to like kind of get the rhythms or kind of nail that syncopation, and because it's just not what classical musicians are used to seeing on, like, so it's kind of the kind of thing you have to have heard many, many times, and it has to be kind of ingrained, and you have to just sort of know it by ear. So like, Joe was able to hold like because I was mostly trying to play like, because like the bass part, and I was hoping Joe would be able to hold it down with the string section, but it nearly derailed because I think like Ning, like our violinist, like took it super fast from the get go. I'm like, whoa, we're gonna die! Like, don't do that. But like,
Especially because like when you're playing,
so
that,
yeah,
like, you just your adrenaline makes you want to speed up more and more and more. So if you already start out really fast,
Yes, I know. I was panicking because, like, because you and Matthew, the cellist, had those really fast techniques. That's like da 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 da. Like that part was so. I was like, they are going to die. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that was. I think those were two that didn't quite like. They're not our proudest hour, or not our finest hours. Like, when it came to Xenoblade. So yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, Joe, what did you think?
I think
Joe, did you have any to add?
Yeah, those are two good examples. I guess, like, we also attempted, like, in Torna, there's, like, a jazzy Gormott version.
Oh my gosh!
Which
I
like,
love
we're
this.
absolutely in love with.
I forgot about that.
We're absolutely in love with Jazz
Oh my
Gormott, and we're just
God.
like, we have to do this. And then we ended up, like, reading it, and we're just like, this sounds ridiculous.
Oh my gosh, it was so bad. That was all my fault. Like, I was like, I'm keeping this afloat by sheer willpower. I was like, I'm going to, my love for this will see us through. But that was not the case. Not at all. Because it was just so, like, I was writing it, and so this is when, like, a really good cellist friend of ours, Israfel Cello, which we collaborate with him a lot, and his wife was there too, who's a very accomplished oboe player. And so I was like, oh, she's visiting. So I wrote that there's an oboe solo in there a soprano saxophone solo that I wrote in there that is in there that I wrote for her, that I transcribed, and I was like, okay, she can play this, and I'll take care of the bass line and some of the piano chords, and then, like, maybe, like, Joe and Andrew will just sort of, I don't even know what I wrote for you guys, actually, in that. I don't even know what you guys are playing in that. I just know that it was, like, that beginning, that intro was, like, beautiful.
It was, yeah.
But then it all fell apart when the fast stuff started. It was like, I was like, what are we doing? Why is this so awful? I think I posted our attempt on I think we got to the middle of that oboe solo, and I'm like, okay, that's enough, guys. we don't have to disgrace this anymore. So yeah, R.I.P. the four-limbed Titan. I think that's what's called. Like, we tried. I may go back to it. I don't know, like, because I still believe in it. But yeah, that's a good one, Joe. That was also kind of horrible.
So I have a question for both of you, and it might be a little bit redundant considering what we just covered, and the answers might be the same, but, like, was there a song or songs that you felt like you learned the most out of?
Oh. Okay, Joe, you go first. I gotta think about it.
Yeah, I was just like,
Yeah, it's a bit of a loaded question, but...
learned the most out of...
Or, like, you grew the most in terms of composing or performing any of these songs?
I think...
Okay.
Maybe one good example for me was Satoral Marsh, because that was the first time I had written for, like, we played it with, like, a local community orchestra, and that was the first time I had written for not only just, like, multiple orchestral instruments, but also, like, for people that at different playing levels, so, like, being able to tailor an arrangement to the strengths of the different players, and it's the most random instrumentation. I wanted to give the spotlight to, like, we had like one brass instrument, we had a trombone, and I was like, I don't want him to be bored, so I gave him, like, melody for a section, and so like during our Satoral March performance, like, there's, like, a random trombone solo for, like, 16 measures or something, and they're just like this is not what an arranger would normally write, but like, kind of having a grasp on, like, how to write for your particular ensemble, that's something new that I had.
Huh.
Yeah, that's true. And you did a great job on that arrangement, because it sounds so cohesive, despite the fact that it was like, I used to run a small community orchestra, and then, like, one of the pitfalls of community orchestra is that you just kind of have to work with what you have. So, like Joe said, we had maybe 4 violinists of all varying levels. Like, some of them were pretty good. Like, I think one of them was very good, and the other 3 were, like, not so good. And then we had one clarinet, 1 trombone, and maybe 1 cello, and then there were 2 violas, and we may have had a flute sometimes, and then there was piano, and so yeah, Joe did a great job of making that sound very cohesive while giving the spotlight to a lot of the stronger players. So yeah, that was that's one of my favorite arrangements of yours, Joe. That really turned out well. Like it was really really good and very playable. I don't know, for me, like I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of the answer to that, and because I'm having trouble because I always learn something new with everything that I write, and but I want to gosh, even though I talked about it like in sort of negative terms, like I think I learned the most from trying to arrange Gormott from Torna, like the Four-Limbed Titan, the jazz, like because I think it was like it was just. I'm trying to think, because I think just because it's so typical jazz, like it wasn't just like very constant, like there wasn't a constant groove like in Gar Plains or something. It was always shifting, like from measure to measure, like the bass line would be doing something totally different, or the piano would be just doing something different, and trying to just capture that all onto like with a very limited range was like very difficult. And then and like with and just jazz in general, I'm just not very well versed in that harmonic language. That it was like I did a lot of research to try to make it work, even though I ultimately failed in the end. But it was a good learning experience for me, just to be like, okay, at least I can take this knowledge and use it to apply it to a future something or another. But I think that the other one that comes to mind is Agniratha, and Joe and I joke that Agniratha, the day theme, is like forever cursed for us because we can never, for some reason, ever get a good recording of it. Like something screws up, or I don't know. I don't remember. Like we've tried multiple times, that we've always joked that it's just something just catastrophically goes wrong every time we try to record Agniratha, and
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that, and like, oh, go ahead.
Oh, and I think that's also one of the only times that, like, at least I've been, like, most of the time we are very strict, like, we were going to play this in the original key no matter what, and that was one of the, like, Agniratha was probably the only instance I can think of where we're like, okay, we're changing the key because we're not playing in six flats right now when we can't get this right.
I did no wait. We didn't change the key. I don't think I probably would have strongly objected. We did. I feel like I would have strongly objected to that. Oh, no.
We did
I
because
probably...
because like I think when we sight read it, like you could feel like the nervous energy like radiating off of the string players, because like it feels really awkward to play. Flats are very, like, lots of flats are that's like murder for strings. It's great for pianos, like pianos love flats. Like strings are like to play in sharps and not flats. So yeah, okay, yeah, no, I think you're right. I remember that now. Yeah, that was that one went through like the most revisions too, because like we play it through, and then I wouldn't like something about like the piano part or some other part, and just rewrite the whole thing. Okay, play it again, and then I would hate it, and then I'd rewrite the whole thing, and even I think I may have rewritten the piano part for that like maybe 4 or 5 times, and I still don't really like it to this day. So it's like, I don't know if it's just like me like being used to just not being satisfied with Agniratha, that's just become a way of life, or just like it's just not where it'll never be where I want it. I guess. So yeah.
At the same time, I feel like whenever we make something in art, like we're always the biggest critic of ourselves.
Yes, that's true. We are our worst enemies. That's very true. That's a good point. Yes.
Like, honestly, I'm the same with Cos. I'm always like, no, this doesn't look good. But then like people tell me like, oh, it looks so good. I'm like, okay, maybe it looks good in the end.
Yeah, no, it's really true, because at every when you finish one part of your cosplay, you see all the flaws because you're so used to seeing it, and you know where to look, and you're like, but then like we always tell ourselves, okay, just move on to the next piece, and then once it all comes together, you won't even notice those small things. And,
exactly.
And that's kind of, and like it's almost like, and there's a saying amongst like Trinity Blood cosplayers that you never really finish a Trinity Blood cosplay.
God.
It's just in different. It's just in different states. Yeah, it's in different states of wearable. It's like it's just, that's all.
I've not watched this series, but I've seen the costumes, and I'm like, Props
Oh
to the
my
people
gosh,
who made those
yeah.
costumes.
Something.
Oh my,
Oh,
yeah, they're doing God's work, like Trinity Blood cosplays. So yeah, you never really finish it.
but yeah, just say I understand the feelings. To be honest.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, 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 that's definitely one of those ones for me where I'm like, it's never going to be quite finished for me.
Well, let's see. I mean, just speaking of like things unfinished, are there any like songs from the series that you'd like to like maybe that you haven't covered that you'd like to go like give a try one day?
Oh well, definitely we are going to do a Xenoblade album. We are. I swear we are.
Yes.
I know we did Xenogears, Xenosaga. We're definitely going to do Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade 2. Hopefully. Well, no, when I say hopefully, it's because that's depending if Xenoblade 1, if that soundtrack gets a release, because licensing issues and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's so fingers crossed that the definitive edition will help with that.
Mhm.
But for me it's Paths May Never Cross from Torna, which I know I'm probably mixing up with the title of that one track from Fire Emblem Three Houses, but it's like basically that remix of The Power of Jin, and which is it sounds like a piano but in the Torna DLC it sounds like a piano concerto, and in fact Mitsuda in the liner notes actually said he wrote it like a piano concerto, and I absolutely adore it. It's so good. But it's like just transcribing that is just so hard. And so I think I'm at maybe 15% completion on transcribing The Power of Jin. But I really love that track, and I would love to do that one day. And the other one I would love to do is the battle theme from Torna, because my
Yes,
god.
I heard the tryout you did on that. It was really good.
But thank you so much. Oh, I'm obsessed with that track. I'm so obsessed with
Same,
that. It's just,
same.
oh,
Like I was doing
so good.
a bunch of battles just because I wanted to hear it over and over again.
Oh my goodness, I know. Like, just like, when you're playing, like maybe on the 15 minutes into the DLC, and like, Laura and Jin get into a fight, and I heard those opening piano chords. I was like, what is this? I'm playing this. I hadn't even heard the whole thing, but I was like, I'm playing this.
Plus,
already.
the battle system in Torna is so it's even faster
oh
than
my
like
gosh.
Xenoblade 2. It's just like, it's so
I
good. It
know.
feels so
Yeah, it's
It's
satisfying.
exhilarating. It's exhilarating to play the Torna battle system. Oh, my goodness, it's so good. Like, Torna is so good. That DLC is just so good.
I love the Torna
Ugh.
people so much.
Oh, I know. I would die for them. I
They're
would
so
die for
likable.
them. I love them. I know. I love them all so much. I liked how, even though I know like some people like the gacha elements of like how the blade, like you awaken certain like you can get certain blades in like Xenoblade, like Xenoblade 2, the main game. But just I like how in Torna you were limited in your blades. Like you only had Mithra, and you had like everyone had like their two that
Yeah.
like they work with, and there was no one else, and because it just felt more streamlined, like for me at least, like.
But
Yeah.
So and you got
I think also like just the cast of Torna in general was just so great that it's just it's
I know,
hard
they
not
were
to be
so
attached to them.
Yes. I know, they were just so like they were such good friends, and Adam was just so charming
Yeah, I
and
love
cute. Like,
I really love
he
Hugo
was just
too.
a stuff. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Hugo.
Hugo was my
Oh my
favorite.
goodness, he was so cute. Like everyone was just so pure and wonderful, and and then it's like the end is depression times, and oh my god, no.
It's like everyone
Yeah.
took stupid pills at the end.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Joe and I have Joe was saying the other day, it's like, it's an RPG. You go and seal away the sword together. You don't go your separate ways. And I was like, this is so true. They could have gone to Spirit Crucible Elphys together and sealed away Pyra. There was no need for them to go their separate ways, and
Yeah.
it's just like. So yeah, there was So I mean I understand why they had to tie it in with the plot of the main game, but still I was like, no, don't do it, guys.
I was just like, I
But yeah,
wanted
that
even
fr-
more.
Yeah, I know, it was 30 hours and still wasn't enough. It was so good.
Yes.
But yeah, those are my two probably that I can think of. And Joe, what do you think? What about you?
Well, like we're actually more or less done with like arranging a Resco, but that's one that I really want to do from Torna.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
We played through it like a couple times at MagFest, which just with like whatever random instrumentation we had. But
Oh yeah.
but I think it
so
would be
good.
nice to actually just get it recorded. And,
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure, yeah, you guys like I really liked at Magfest. I liked the whatever trio version you guys did with cello, viola, and oboe or violin. It was just really, it sounded really nice, just like in a stripped down sort of trio.
well, good job on arranging that, because since you arranged it.
Oh, oh, that was fun to arrange because I was like, oh, I don't have to write a million notes like I normally do, because that was kind of refreshing to arrange. And I knew we wanted like Xeno music, even though you guys didn't get to play for our big cosplay, our big like our Xeno cosplay group, because that was the original intention. But still, it was great that I loved hearing you guys in the hotel room. At least it's like, oh, you guys sound great.
Yeah, I think I saw some of the videos, but not all of them, because I was at work and I had limited time, and then I forgot to go back to it.
It's okay. It's okay.
But it was the little I heard of it was really good.
Yeah, and then I think it was just hilarious that you guys actually attempted Zanza, which I like Zanza the Divine, which I was like, I wrote it like I arranged it as like, okay, because we had a Zanza cosplayer there. I was like, okay,
Nice.
so we're gonna play Zanza the Divine for you guys, and and you guys played it and it actually sounded like kind of good, like not kind of good, actually really good, because like Damien and that oboe, that crazy oboe solo, like that, like it was like, I mean, it sounded like Zanza, like it really sounded like it. So you guys did like a bang up job on that.
If we wanted like one or two more examples, I guess two from Xenosaga that I wanted to do at some point was like, I'd like to do Godsib from Xenosaga 3, but I don't entirely know how I'm going to approach it. So maybe at some point when Ruby gets to episode 3, she can help.
Oh yeah, no, okay.
Oh my gosh.
That's one that a lot of Xenosaga fans have asked me to play,
Yeah.
and
So
I do recognize the name.
Yeah.
I look forward to that whenever
Yeah,
you guys
big
come
fan.
to it.
Yeah,
yeah, and the
Godsib
other
is
one,
a classic.
it really is. The other one that Ruby got mad at me for not including was Kokoro from Xenosaga 1. 'Cause I was trying to.
Yeah.
Because you said it was the same as Shion.
Well, I was trying
like,
to be
no,
like
it's
really
not.
conscious of like of Ruby, because she hasn't played a lot at that point. She had played none of Xenosaga basically. She was still on the Boglinde.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't want to force you to play like a bunch of like too many songs, because I already, like you saw at the end, like I already had her play like 12 different ones. Just like
I mean, okay, this is just for context here. Like, I made Joe record a whole Nier Automata album without him not ever playing the game. I was like, just record all of these 7 tracks, and, like learn them all, play the game later. Like, so I think Joe is more considerate of me, and like I wouldn't have minded. I'd be like, okay, throw Gods to the main. Like, just like, it's like.
But yeah, the Automata is also like their music in general is so good.
Oh my goodness!
It's
Oh,
absolutely
yeah.
insane. That
Nier.
concert, though.
I wish I could.
Oh,
have
did you
gone.
go? Did you go to that?
I
you go to
did,
that?
and it was amazing.
Oh man, the Chicago one. Were you there with Joe?
Yep,
Oh
Yeah.
man, did you get to meet Okabe and them? Like,
I didn't. I
Okay.
was up there with Nick, and yeah, like it was such a good show, and
Oh,
everybody was
man.
going insane.
oh,
When they
that's
did
so
Kaine,
great.
like everybody went insane.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh, that's a beautiful track. That so
I-
beautiful.
I
And
love
like,
being-
and Emmy Evans was there too, right?
Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah,
That's
I
so
love
great.
being at that
Wow.
concert, because like I would be in line with like to get merch, right? Which it was really long, which kind of is annoying, but like you literally just turn around and you talk to like a complete stranger, and they're like equally like freaking out about the like the games and like the lore and
Oh.
the music,
That's
and you're just like, only if you come to these concerts can you like get this kind of relationship.
Yeah, like
Oh.
everybody there was super passionate. Like if you just like looked around the theater, you just see like everybody is just in tears,
Oh
just like
man,
absolutely absorbed and just in awe.
That's adorable.
that's the best, honestly.
Yeah.
Like the passion, like all in one, all that, the love, all in one place. I mean, I hear the Kingdom Hearts concerts were like that too, like just lots of crying and lots of love and
It reminds
everyone
me a
just-
bit the first time that the Zelda concerts came to Montreal, and like everyone was just like,
Oh, the
Which
Zelda
is-
concerts are good.
the Zelda
Like,
concerts are really good.
Oh, yeah.
Which
yeah,
just begs
Symphony of the
question,
Goddesses.
like, when can Mitsuda come over here?
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
Xenogears,
Oh,
please.
I die.
Like,
Somebody get that man over here.
yeah.
Yes, please,
Yeah,
please.
Magfest was like asking for like guest suggestions, and I was like, Mitsuda, please, Mitsuda.
yes.
I know, like, what are they? They're sleeping on Mitsuda, or it could be like that. Maybe Mitsuda doesn't want to come here. I don't know. Like when Onicon had Sakimoto here, I was like, oh my gosh, I paid for a badge, even though I only went Sunday, drove an hour, and like was like, I will meet this man.
Yes.
Bought all my like Final Fantasy Tactics swag, and had him sign it all.
But it could be also that Mitsuda is very busy, so maybe it just
Yeah,
the
that's
dates
true.
don't always work out,
Yeah.
depending.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Yeah,
The stars
one
need to
can
align.
hope.
Well, I'm
this
hoping
one.
that with the Xenosaga 20th anniversary coming up in a few years, that maybe we'll get a Xenosaga concert. But
Oh my
I
gosh, that would be so
would
cool.
die.
The only sad part is that you have Mitsuda compose the first Xenosaga, which
if
is like it gives you more chance to have like orchestra of that. But I feel like Yuki doesn't do nearly as many performances sometimes. I don't know. Could be like it'd be cool to see like if they
Both
did
a
a sort of
concert
like
together?
thing both together.
God.
Oh my
I-
gosh, Yuki
I would
Kaijura and
die.
Mitsuda.
Yes.
That would
Wow.
yeah, that would
Like,
actually
give
kill
me the
me.
VIP package for them.
Yeah, I would watch Japan for that.
That's God.
And I would try all of my soul in the room.
Oh
Oh,
my God.
And the crazy part is they could have it in like one city and it would still sell out. Everybody would go
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I can imagine every like Xenosaga fan in North America would come. It wouldn't
Right.
matter where
I
it was.
absolutely would. So
Yes.
I'm in Canada and I would go to the US for it. I don't care.
It's funny, like Joe, like, because when I mentioned Xenosaga, sometimes I'll mention Xenosaga on Twitter, and then suddenly all these random people be like, someone say Xenosaga?
yeah, that's pretty much what we do.
It's like, someone invoked the name of Xenosaga here. And then like, I was like, Joe, it's like, really, these are your people. It's really cute. And Joe's like, every time he's like, when you do this, it's like, he's like, it's almost like, it's like a bat signal for every Xenosaga fan. Like, it just comes.
Yeah, well,
like, hey,
we're
where-
still around. We're just silent. So when some attention is given to Xenosaga, we just like come and like
Well,
open
just
the
like,
door,
That's when we-
crack
hello.
open.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
You know,
that-
hiding.
It's just like
Yeah.
Xenosaga with like the most despaired.
Yeah, that's what Joe. Yeah, that's exactly what Joe said. It's like we're here, we're just quiet, and then waiting for someone to mention it. And it was funny because people that followed me for different things would be like Xenosaga, oh man, and then like posting pictures of like collector's editions of all three, and like Cosmos statues and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're such a fan. Like I never knew.
Yeah.
Let's see. I guess this question might be a little bit broad since the music in each game's kind of or series is kind of different. But is there any like what aspects of the Xeno music composition stand out to you guys? Like, is there any specific things that resonate with you or not?
Let's see. I think for me, because like you said, it's like all of the composers are different for every game, and they all have their own very unique style. So it's like they all appeal to me on the basis of just I can hear the style, like the style of the composer in them, just because, like for like Shimamura's, like those lush piano strings writing the main theme of Xenoblade Chronicles, which you hear in her work in like Kingdom Hearts all the time, and Legend of Mana, and you hear, like, and it's this, like, and then then to Kyoto's, like like I mentioned before, these sparse, very pretty lilting phrases, but then Kenji Hiramatsu's like really hard hitting jazz fusion, like those jams, like in the Torna battle theme, and then like Ace is so talented. They're very diverse in their styles. Like they do all the metal rock, like battles, but they're also capable of very very beautiful, like lyrical melodies too. And of course, like Mitsuda is the master of just crafting these gut wrenching pop ballads for like the ending themes, and because he just loves using minor ninths and fourth U suspensions for those super emotional scenes. It just kind of draws out like like what's happening. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so good. But funny enough, like a funny story is like going back to like Ace, like being very eclectic, where every composer you can kind of tell who wrote what. Mm-hmm. But when Joe and I like finished writing Desolation, Walking with You, from Xenoblade 2, and I finished writing the piano part, and I was telling Joe, man, this is so good. It's like so classic Mitsuda. It's so these chords, this piano writing, and Joe's like, actually, Ace wrote that. I'm like, no, they didn't. No, I didn't. And I looked it up, and it was Ace. I was like, oh, okay. Guess there goes my credibility. But yeah, I'm telling you, like, I would have put money in Vegas that Mitsuda had written Desolation because I was like, this is so Mitsuda. Although I have to say, like, speaking of Mitsuda, like, I don't know how much he worked on in Xenoblade 2. Like, I know he's credited like as one of the main composers of Xenoblade 2.
Yeah.
But I'm not. Besides like Elysium in the Dream and Elysium in the Blue Sky, and and maybe like One Last You, or I don't know what else he wrote, but I was not a really big fan of a lot of, or it wasn't I wasn't a big fan of it, just a lot of it didn't stick with me. Like a lot of the like the Xenoblade 2 themes didn't resonate with me as much like as I thought it would for Mitsuda's name being on the track, on the overall like soundtrack. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because maybe he only wrote certain ones, and maybe he just got top billing because he's just a big name and someone else wrote the rest. But yeah, I'm not sure, because like a lot of it doesn't feel like him. But then again, like I thought Desolation was written by him. So yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure how many questions we have left.
Well, Joe, did you have an answer for that question?
He said he'd be right back.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
He left.
My bad.
No, don't worry about it. Well, how about this? What are some elements like that you notice in the music that they have in common? Like, is there any particular things that you heard in Gears that you also saw in Saga, or things that you saw in Saga that you also saw in Blade? Like, are there any elements to the music that you just like that just stuck out to you? To like, oh yeah, I remember hearing that in the other game and how it was done over there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, Gears, like, because Gears was all Mitsuda, mm-hmm. So like, this is like, like when I think of Gears, it's like Gears is very classic Mitsuda writing. It's there, and I heard like Beyond the Sky was very, very Mitsuda. Like, it was like once, like, just certain harmonies, like you could tell were like very similar to in small, like, and the feel of it and the structurally, it felt like Small of Two Pieces. And honestly, Pain from Xenosaga 1 feels like that too. Like, there's like, he likes a certain structure in his, when he constructs pop ballads, and he likes like he'll and I mean, to be fair, most of them have a very similar structure anyway. But yeah, it's like but something that sticks out to me with Small of Two Pieces and Pain is that Pain has that bit at the end that's got this very extended instrumental thing. That I know you guys know what I'm talking about. And then like that kind of and then that's like Small of Two Pieces has a very long instrumental bit, like that electric guitar solo that goes on forever, like, which I totally love. And then like and Beyond this, I think Beyond the Sky, I want to say that Beyond the Sky has that too, like, but not as much. But there's like. No, sorry. I know I'm thinking about it. It's that there's a bridge in Beyond the Sky when I'm trying to think of the lyrics she sings during that part, and I'm drawing a blank. But anyways, but those three sections are like struck me as like this is classic Mitsuda. His writing right here is like these, he likes doing these long instrumental lines, and then I think it's because there's a modal shift harmonically when in those sections that it's, I don't want to get too theoretical like I'm trying to describe it in a way that's like easy to understand, but trying not to get into too much like music theory
honestly
lingo and bore everybody. It's okay. I'll feel like such a nerd.
Honestly, go for it. This is your show.
No, it's okay. everyone tunes out at this moment. No, it's okay. But yeah, I think like those three release. And then Moment of Eternity in the Torna DLC, which is the ending theme for the Torna DLC, which just slays me every time. Like once again, there's this like extended guitar solo in that one too. Yeah, I think Mitsuda's main instrument is guitar, so he's got a lot of, he likes using guitar a lot.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of, he'll like either electric guitar or there's like finger picky guitar or so, it was, so yeah, it'll always be some piano intro thing and then kind of build up into some big guitar moment and then some modal shift in the middle, and so yeah, that's for Mitsuda, like that's kind of a common thing with him.
Yeah, which has translated.
Oh, you're back.
Oh yes,
yes.
Which has translated into a lot of viola playing random guitar songs.
Which is the best. Oh my gosh. Yes, Joe had to do the electric guitar solo in Small of Two Pieces, and then I think you had to play it in like Pain, and then you had to play it, I think, Moment of Eternity, which we will record. It's like really funny.
It's very impressive.
I was like, once again, Joe, you're doing the guitar solo.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, it's great. Joe is such a great sport. And he does such a great job on it. It sounds so good. It really does sound so good.
So, Jidoki, or rather, Tyler, you wanted to ask Joe something, I think.
Oh.
Was it in regard to the last question? Or?
Yeah, which, my brain, gosh.
You lost track of it?
I've lost track.
Is it, what aspects of the Xeno composition?
Yeah, that, was there something, Joe, for you that, like the music of, like, Xenogears, Xenosaga, Xenoblade, that like the aspects of it that really resonated with you or stand out to you, or
so I am not, like, even though like I am classically trained, I'm not, like, I didn't go to school for music, so I can't speak on like theory and composition like Ruby can. So I think I'm a lot closer to like how you guys are, in that like I have like an emotional attachment to like certain like pieces that play during different times in the games. So that's a lot of what attracts me. if we're speaking in a more broad sense, I am a little bit of a sucker for like specific instrumentation. So like if I hear like a really pretty string solo, or if I hear like really pretty woodwinds, which then I will like fall head over heels for those particular tracks. Which I guess it's kind of random. Like I don't know why I like woodwinds so much, but like especially if you like just put a nice oboe part into it, then I'll probably like fall over for that.
I think Joe's love for woodwinds is actually really cute. I mean, he bought an alto recorder and like just to mess around with it and ended up using it on small 2 pieces.
Nice.
It was great. It was perfect. It was perfect. And I want to say, did you use it on One Who Bears Fangs at God?
I think I used the melodica for that.
Oh yeah, the melodica. Okay, yeah, that was a good choice too.
Where we are with the questions, because I don't know if we went in order or not.
We kind of jumped around, which is fine,
and that's perfectly fine. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're getting close to like the 2-hour mark, so I guess maybe we can start wrapping things up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. There was one question though that was not music related, but it was their favorite Xeno characters, or like from least favorite to favorite, but that might be a bit hard to.
That could be
a man.
When so much of the cast is so good.
Oh god.
Yes.
yes, that's so true. I mean,
well, what's a character that just jumps at you?
Okay, all right.
Just right now, you think of a character who comes at you.
Okay, least favorite or most favorite?
Mm-hmm.
Or both. Okay, all right. Least favorite? Choo Choo from Xenogears. I will not take any criticism. I'm sorry, Choo Choo stands.
They're coming for you now.
Pink fluffy. I know they will.
Yeah,
I know they're knocking on my door.
Be careful.
I mean, it was just. Oh my goodness. I can't even begin. Okay, but yeah, we're keeping this short. Okay, so most favorite. That's. Okay, I would have to say it's Jin from Xenoblade 2, followed by Bart Fatima from Xenogears. But very closely followed. But yeah, because Jin in Xeno 2 is just, I fell in love with him from the get-go because he is hot. He's very hot. I'm sorry. And then I called up my friend that I usually cosplay with. I'm like, you are going to be him. We are making this. Like, you have no choice in the matter. So yes, I made him cosplay Jin. Yeah, so it was great. I was like, I love this. And so yeah, because his struggle, his struggle is so fascinating. And yet it's like, you know, like where he ends up being the villain, but then in Torna he's just so lovely and pure and beautiful.
Yes, I was
so,
melting.
like, you know, yes, I'm like, you're such a good person. What happened? But you know, when you think of like 5,000 years of loneliness and despair, and it's like he had just such a hard choice to make in a very split second. In this split second, it's almost like he was damned if he didn't, and he damned if he did. And so, you know, it's almost like the way he ended. When you see all that kind of unfolding and seeing how he ended up at the end of like Xeno 2, it's just, it makes sense. Everything makes sense. And I'm like, well, you know, anyone in his position, it would have been really difficult for anyone in his position to cope. Like, you know, so I think his struggle is it's a very beautiful one and encapsulates like the plot of Xeno 2 really well. In fact, like in many ways, I think that he's kind of the central figure of Xeno 2. Like a lot of the events are surround him, are precipitated by him.
Yeah.
You know, so he to me feels like the main character of Xeno 2, not really Rex so much.
Yeah, well, Rex develops in other ways, but I think they both move the plot together in a way. but still, Jin
Yeah.
Jin
yeah.
is very handsome, and like I love him from the start just for that.
Yeah, Jin's pretty neat. And I always like when games kind of like let you see the story from the other perspective too.
Yeah.
Like I always wish more games let you do that. Like bit of a spoiler for a very obscure RPG, but there's a game called Live Alive, which anybody who knows me knows I love that game, and I will shill it till my freaking last breath. Live Alive is awesome, and what's cool about that game is once you like get to the end, you actually get to play the story from the villain's perspective and learn why he became how he is and why the game is structured the way it is.
That sounds awesome.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's like really insane, and like it even gets to a point where you have the option of playing as the villain and actually killing each of the protagonists.
Oh,
Oh,
Oh
my
my
gosh.
goodness.
And
Wow,
that leads to another ending. Yeah, that game is wild. Play it.
Wow. I'm gonna have to check that out. That's really fascinating.
So,
It does sound
But
really
yeah, I
cool.
always like when games let you do that, when you get to see it from the other perspective, and I thought that was pretty neat. How in Torna you kind of got to do that too. You get to see it. You get to see the story from Jin's perspective.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. Yeah, that was yeah, it really made you sympathize. It just made you really just love him so much more. Like, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
so who's your least favorite and favorite, Joe?
Oh, before I get to that, I wanted to insert a funny thing about Ruby mentioning Choo Choo was that on our album covers, we usually have like a cute creature. Like if you like historically look back at the different covers. So when we got to Gears, I had proposed Choo Choo because I was like, we need some kind of cute creature on the cover, and I was met with very furious disapproval.
Hostility.
yeah, she was like, we're not doing Choo Choo. And then at first she was like, okay, well, like if we have to, then we can. But then when I went to the artist who did the art, she was also like, I hate Choo Choo. I was like, okay, if this is gonna trigger Gears fans, then let's just not use Choo Choo.
I think I like her only in the perspective that it's a fluffy animal, but like personality-wise, I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still would like to make or try to make a plush of Choo Choo to go with my Margie cosplay.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that would be really cute. That would be super cute. I love your Margie.
Yes,
cosplay.
I'm working
Oh,
on getting
mother.
more motivation to continue the
Oh.
hat. It's just like this cosplay has been painful.
Yes, it's not. Xeno cosplays are just painful. Period. Like,
Yeah.
just
I'll be honest, the
period.
cape is a whole mess of like weird attachment because I went like through, like I redesigned the patterning of that thing a couple of times.
Oh,
And then it was
yeah,
like,
tape attachments
trying an
are-
attachment,
yeah.
it's not working, go to
Yes.
it the other way, and like it's patched real weirdly in there, but whatever.
Oh yeah, no, cape attachments are the absolute, because most of the time, like the attachments are invisible, and that's not the way it works in real life.
But that one especially made no sense.
Yes, I feel you. Right?
Yeah.
Like trying to rig Jin's outfit together was heinous. It was so awful because it's like he's got this half skirt and then there's no way where it attaches anywhere. So we had to just
Yeah,
kind of
my friend wants
there was like safety pins.
my friend wants to do it and like supposed to help with the skirt, but at the same time I'm like, how the crap does it attach to the armor?
Yeah,
It's just like,
yeah,
what?
Oh yeah, attachments are the worst. They're
Very
part of
much so.
cosplay. Period.
But yeah, Joey, I guess you can go on with your characters.
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess for least favorite, like, I don't really actively hate any characters, because, like, I feel like there's so much development with Xeno characters that it's hard to, like, hate them. I think from a creepy perspective, like, Amalthus from Blade 2 was kind of creepy during the boss fight
Oh god,
that
yeah.
you have against him with the tentacles. I guess that would be an answer for a dislike, just because I got kind of creeped out when I was fighting that boss.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Another valid answer would
Yeah.
be Cherenkov's wife, because no one can like her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's the true villain.
Uh, okay, and then I guess favorite character. I'm a little basic, and I think my favorite Xeno character has always been Momo from Xenosaga.
Very valid.
Oh,
Very,
Joe.
very valid.
This is what that's really cute. Okay. I like when I was playing Xenosaga, I'm like okay, I hate using magic users, period, in any RPG. I'm all about melee attacks
Hell
and
yeah.
stuff. So all the magic users get benched. Yes. Yay. And so then Joe's all like, "But Momo." I'm like, "Momo's on the bench. Momo's not coming out of reserve." I'm sorry. She might be a glass cannon, but she just can't take a hit. I'm sorry.
Wait
I
until
can't
she
keep her
gets her
behind
bow and
Ziggy
arrow.
forever.
I know.
Okay, so that's what Joe said. Joe said she gets so good, especially in Xenosaga 2. He's like, Momo is OP.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like the best character in that.
Yeah, that's what Joe said. Okay, and he was like, hold up. I was like, okay. I was like, I believe you, but I'm sorry, Xenosaga 1. I was like, I never ever use Momo. So, yeah. So then Joe was always like, but Momo could take care of this so easily for you. I'm like, well, it's too late for that.
I really use
So
her, but
yeah.
yeah. I really
go
use
ahead,
her,
go ahead,
but mostly because I have like my three bias, which are like Cosmos, Chaos, and Junior.
Oh yeah, you know, I use yeah. Okay, I didn't like. Okay, so Junior, who I called Billy for the longest time, because but he's Billy, and like he didn't get good for me until I got that one attack of his that was like he flips that coin in the air.
Oh
I forget
yeah,
what
it's
called. Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's really good. I was like, okay. I was like, okay, Billy's good. I mean, Junior's good. He's good. And then like Chaos, I didn't appreciate until like against Gnosis. He's like really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was like, okay, you're back in. But like, I love Ziggy. I'm sorry, he's the best dad.
Oh, yes,
best dad ever.
yeah.
I even though he's so slow and so bad in so many battles, I believe in Ziggy.
As you should.
I will
We all believe in
Thank
Ziggy
you.
here. We're all fan
Thank
of
you.
best dad.
I love him. I love it. Like, and his backstory is the most fascinating to me. It's like, oh my gosh, he had a family, he had loved ones, and he's like a cyborg, and like I was like, it just resonates with me. I'm just like, oh,
Yeah,
he's a family man.
His story is
Like,
really good. It's really,
oh
really
yeah.
yeah. That's why I keep him in. I was like, he deserves it.
good. Yeah. Honestly, would take Ziggy from time to time. Like, if I got against, like, enemies that were banging a bit too strongly, I would be like, yeah, Junior, you should maybe go to the back because you're taking the hits a bit too hard. But yeah, aside from that, my main team was the three I mentioned.
Hey, they're all really
Yes.
good. They're like every character is good.
Yes, they
except
are.
Momo.
All
I
are.
mean, I'm sure Momo is good. I just will never
Oh.
experience it.
She has
but yeah, but
transformations.
Billy,
But I adore Momo,
She-
though. She's so
yeah,
cute.
her transformations were
She's such a
adorable.
good
she is
girl.
really
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
Billy is a great character. I'm sorry, Junior. I'm sorry. I'm doing it again. Oh, forgive me. I'm a Junior. He's such a good character
Yes.
too. He's got like, he's got a really good, interesting like relationship with, I guess, his brother. Is that his brother or like some like
Ganyan?
I guess it's his
You gotta
older
get to
brother.
episode
His
2.
younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his bro.
Okay, so yeah, which I'm like, okay, well, how come he's so young? And like, so yeah, I'm like, there's something there. There's something there that probably be
Yeah.
revealed later. And,
Yeah.
so there's
Yeah, especially, I think that stuff is mostly starting to be more mentioned in Saga 2, but I don't remember if there was some detail in Saga 1. Like, sometimes I mix up the details of when they get exposed
Oh,
where.
right, yeah.
Especially, like, Xenosaga is so much of, like, we show a little prologue and, like, one of, like, a little of everything, and then in Saga 2, we expose a bit more of the
Yeah.
URTV and other things, and then Xenosaga 3, we're like, we're shooting all the answers in your face!
Yep.
So,
Spot
Here it
on.
comes.
so, yeah, pretty much.
Oh man, I need to
Yeah,
finish
fine.
those games. Oh my goodness.
It's like, it's kind of exciting too because our friend Nick, who was our albedo, he's actually playing the Xenosaga series
Oh.
right now, and he's in Xenosaga 3 now, and we're just like so excited.
Yeah.
Oh
Wow,
man,
this
I need to
segment.
catch up.
I
Ah.
need to catch
Yeah.
up.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, I really
He's
do need to
loving
catch
it
up.
too.
Oh really? Oh man. Okay.
Hmm.
Now I'm like, now talking to you, like, hear you guys talk about. I'm like, okay. I need to. It's like you guys just drag me through the Song of Nephilim and just get me
Yeah.
past that. And I was like, it's like,
We'll help you. We'll cheer
Yes,
for you in the game room
I
if
will.
you if you join
yes,
us.
I will. I will definitely be like, okay, I'm firing it up, getting on Discord. Okay, help me out, guys. Get me through this.
We're in this together.
Yes, I will. Yes, thank you.
All right.
Yes, we will. We will kill God.
Yes, like in every Xeno game ever. It's just that's the end goal.
Yeah. So, is there any like last minute or last questions anybody wants to ask before we wrap up?
Did we miss any of them? I don't think so.
Well, there was one. I don't remember who posted this question, but did you didn't I don't know if this is accurate or not, but did you guys get acknowledged by Yasunori Mitsuda once, or what's up with that?
So, I think it was so the other the cellist that I play with, I think Mitsuda acknowledged our cover of Final Fantasy 15, like the episode
Oh.
Ignis that we did.
Oh, awesome.
And so yeah, which was cool. That was definitely like the big like screaming over chat, like retweeting moment, like, you know, we were screaming, and Okabe acknowledged our existence like by liking our tweet of the one that, like, I think near like the voice of no return that Joe did, like, you know. And I think that may be what you're thinking of, and but still, like, it's really cool that it's really cool that, you know, on Twitter and like in this day and age, it's like very easy. Easy too, but you know, you have a potential direct link to your idols,
Oh, yeah.
you know, your heroes, you know, that maybe they might notice you, they might,
Senpai
like, you
noticed.
know, there's a chance.
Yeah, and getting
Yes,
acknowledged,
exact-
like,
yes,
anyway, it's just so
yeah.
like, oh my god.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's just really cool about Twitter, like more than any other platform, like, you know, to get acknowledgement there. So yeah. But yeah, that was definitely, like, you know, as one would, you know, as anyone would probably be, just like lots of screaming.
I can imagine.
Yes.
Crying.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Yeah.
know.
Anytime that happens,
It's like
we
if
literally
one of the
screenshot.
creator. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, we literally screenshot and like use Facebook Messengers. Like, did you see that?
Yeah, oh yes, no, it is immediately screenshotted. Like, when it's like, Keiichi Okabe liked this tweet, like, Joe! Oh my gosh, we've been blessed by a like on Twitter.
It's amazing, but like, it's like for me, like if I made a cosplay, like one of the creator of those games would just like my cosplay and be probably die in the corner.
Oh my gosh, I know, like there's one time, like, when I cosplayed, like, the mom from Kubo and the Two Strings, like, maybe 2 years ago. Like, I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Yeah.
Yes, I
But-
did. It's so good.
But yeah. So I cosplayed the mom, and then, like, we just happened to be in San Diego during San Diego Comic-Con, but we were not in SDCC, but they were they were putting on, like, a, you know, Kubo exhibit, like, you know, in the Gaslamp district, and I was like telling my husband, I was like, oh, let's go to that, like, you know, just to see the puppets, like, you know, with the puppets they use in the movie. And then we went in, and then, like, we actually the creators, some of the creators were there, and I went up to one of them and was like, hi, like, you know, because he had a name tag on, and I was like, are you one of the were you one of the puppeteers or the designers in this movie? He's like, yeah, I'm the executive, like, character designer. And I was like, oh, I cosplayed the Seriatsu, the mom, and I pulled up my phone and I showed him the pictures, and he, like, freaked out. He was like, oh my gosh. And that was actually kind of cool, because he's like, he's like, send me these pictures and I will email them to the woman who actually made the puppet. Like, she would love to see this. And
Nice.
So that was
That's
really
amazing.
cool. Like I got a picture with him, and yeah, that was really cool. Like I got a picture with him and everything, and my husband was like, "Wow, that's actually really cool."
That is.
So that was that I think like the creator like they like seeing cosplays of their stuff, so it never hurts to tweet your cosplays to
Oh, yeah.
pictures to someone. You
Always
should do
tagging
that.
The actors and
Yeah, like-
creators, like, hello,
Yes.
like my Instagram post, please.
Yes, you totally should. I mean, like you never know like who might
yeah.
see it. So yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I guess we're good to wrap things up. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. I was really excited about this episode, so thank you.
Yeah, me too.
Oh.
Same.
Oh no, it was so great to be here, and thank you for letting me ramble about like
It's always the best.
like-
I love enthusiasm,
Okay.
and
Like I
joy.
said.
No, you guys are
It's
you
your
guys are
show.
really great. No, you guys are really awesome. It's like now I feel all pumped to play Xenosaga.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I really
Yes.
am.
Thank you
I'm
for,
like,
like,
wow, like
quintuple
you're
team.
Mission
Good
accomplished,
collaboration.
everybody.
yeah, I know that your love is infectious. Like I'm like, oh wow, I'm missing out on Xenosaga.
All right. So, for our closing, we kind of go around, and if there's any like social media or projects you want to share, we just basically do that. So, I guess starting off with you two, I know a lot of your music is on Spotify, but is there anything like anywhere people can find you and your music online?
Go for it, Joe.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty much AnimeVivi everywhere except Instagram, so if you accidentally go to Instagram, you might find someone else. But, like, there's been many a time that Ruby has tagged this random other person on Instagram.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so on Twitter, YouTube, and on Spotify and all that, so, yeah.
I am also on Spotify, and well, I'm Purpleschala pretty much everywhere. On Spotify and Instagram. Well, Instagram is all the cosplay stuff, and Twitter, and YouTube, and yeah, then that's where you can find me. And the current projects are just Final Fantasy, a bunch of Final Fantasy Tactics and Castlevania.
Nice. All right, and then because you said you've covered Nier Automata, and then you've also is it Fire Emblem Three Houses you've covered as well?
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, I see all
Yes.
of those Fire Emblem like music
Yeah.
popping up, and I'm just like, I did not play yet. I cannot click on them.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
go back
sorry.
to all
I'm
of them
sorry.
afterwards.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's all. Since the yesterday's big release
Yeah.
of Apex of the World, that's all wrapped up. No more Fire Emblem Three Houses. So, it's like, you don't have to deal
Aw.
with that anymore from me.
Oh no,
Like, it's
no trouble. It's just I'm kind of behind. Like everyone
Oh,
has
yeah.
been hyped on this for months, and I'm just like, I was on Dragon Quest, so I cannot do both at the same time.
No, it's fine. It's totally fine. That's valid. That's so valid. So it's totally fine. Like, it'll always be there waiting. Like Fire Emblem will still be there.
Yeah. They'll all soon
So,
start it. As soon as I'm done with Dragon Quest, I'm starting it.
Same.
Yeah, really. There's
Same.
no rush.
All right.
There's no
All right,
rush.
then, Mary, would you like to share anything?
I don't have much because most of the cons are canceled or postponed or like in Joe parties. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm gonna be doing, but I guess I'll probably craft and play video games for the next few months.
Yeah, that's all of us.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it just sucks because there was so many cons this year. Like I had more cons than usual this year, and everything is just poof, bye.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That sucks.
I'm glad I went to Katsucon though.
Yes.
Otherwise
I'm
I would
have
so glad
suffered
you were
even
able to
more.
do that.
That was like our last hurrah.
Yeah, I know. I was like, if there was any con I went to just for 2020, I'm glad it was MagFest. I was like,
Yeah.
this was a good con to just go to, like the only one this year.
All right, Tara. What is there anything you'd like to share?
Kind of in the same boat as everybody else. Con plans are getting changed or canceled. Otherwise, not really. I'm still slowly posting a lot of cosplay stuff on my Instagram from Katsucon of the Xenosaga meetup, so I'll probably
yes.
keep doing that.
Yay.
I still need to go through the pictures
Okay,
and continue to going through the.
I need to get your Instagram info and everything because I just.
I
need to
will
see
hit
these
you
more.
up right
I don't.
after
I have
we're
not
done
seen enough.
recording.
Just please.
All right. Justin.
So I just had a Shenmue 3 review go up
Ooh,
the other day.
nice.
That was a good
so
review.
check that out. I had a
Where
lot to say about
where is
that review.
Where is it? Where's the review? I want to hear.
That's on Operation Rainfall.
Okay.
So, yeah. I had a lot to say about that game, so go ahead and check that out.
I definitely will.
I'm also going to be working on some other projects. I've got a Xeno project coming up. I'm not quite yet ready to reveal it, but it is going to be pretty
Nice.
sweet. So,
Nice.
yeah, I can't wait to reveal that because that's going to be pretty cool. Otherwise, yeah, I'm kind of just stuck at home, keeping clean, washing my hands,
Good.
not going outside, not
Good.
touching anybody.
Good.
But yeah, otherwise I'm just going to be playing some video games, catching up some of that. Hopefully work on some cosplay stuff real soon too. And yeah, that's pretty much all I'm doing right now.
All right.
I guess one other thing I can kind of reveal, I don't know when this is going to go out, but I am going to be on Retro Roulette a lot more once this quarantine is over.
Oh.
I know I've been on there a couple times already, but yeah, essentially I'm going to be doing some more stuff with them down the line. So yeah,
Awesome.
you'll be seeing me a little
Cool.
bit more on their channel.
That's cool. That's cool.
All right. I'm kind of in a similar boat. I don't have much going on. I'm also, kind of working on a Xenosaga related thing for RPG Fan, but that probably
cool.
hasn't.
Nice.
That it
Oh,
probably
that's
isn't
so
up yet,
cool.
but yeah. And then other than that, I'm just playing video games and hoping my work will close down for the quarantine, but we'll see. All right. So that was the end of our episode. Thanks again for our special guests and for our recurring guests for joining
thank
us
you.
tonight. Really appreciate everyone for being here.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you
is
for having
awesome.
us.
Yeah,
Yes.
thanks.
And if you ever want to come back, please feel free to do so.
Yes, please.
Oh, that's so sweet of you guys. You guys are so fun to talk to.
Yes.
Mhm.
As far as future episodes, because gonna should have our Katsukan wrap up episode up before this episode. I'm almost done editing that.
Yeah, that one was wild too.
Yeah, that was fun. And then in April, I know that Justin, you want to do that Xeno Cafe episode.
Oh yes, the Let's Make a Xeno
Yes,
Pop-Up Cafe.
that sounds fun.
That
my
sounds so
gosh, yeah.
cute.
What
It's
is
going to be
that?
really fun.
Yeah, and then I don't know what else we got on the. Well, actually, no. Next weekend we are going to be recording with the guys from Retrograde Amnesia, to just discuss.
Oh my gosh, I
Yes,
love them.
Yes, they're
I absolutely love
Yes, their
them.
podcast is amazing.
Okay.
I love it.
I just started listening to them and totally love,
Yes,
it's the
so
best.
I'm looking forward to recording with them. We're going to be discussing Satan from Xenogears, and
Ah, my favorite.
yeah, it'll be great. And beyond that, I know we'd have to look at our schedule, but we don't have really too much beyond that. I know we want to have a Cosmos related episode in May, because that's around when her new figure drops, and that would be perfect timing.
Yeah,
And
we should probably record it before that.
Well,
though,
yeah.
just so to give you time.
oh yeah, since I take
And keep our fingers crossed that it doesn't get
God,
delayed.
yeah, I hope
No.
that doesn't happen.
It might though, but yeah.
But anyway, that's all I can think of at the moment that we have 100% confirmed. So yeah, thanks again for everyone for joining us tonight, but as well as the listeners for listening. So thank you and have a good night.
See you next
Thank
time,
you.
guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
Until next time,
Bye.
Xenofam.
Bye.